day for the experience at the Edmonton Expo Center. Looking for the perfect place to host your next big event? From trade shows to galas, meetings, and concerts, the Edmonton Expo Center has the space, event expertise, and service to make your next event unforgettable. With over 522,000 square feet of flexible event space, in-house catering, and operational expertise, they bring your biggest vision to life. Learn more at edmontonexpocenter.com today.
The Chicken Parmy Burger, McExtreme pulled pork, garlic and black pepper chicken McNuggets, cheesy bacon McFlavor fries, and the Stroop Waffle McFlurry. You've scrolled them, you've screenshotted them, you've never been able to order them until now. This is the McDonald's World Menu Heist. The most wanted menu items taken from around the world, now in Canada. Get them while you can. For a limited time only at participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
I'm Dr. Vance Elliott. The goal of every one of the thousands of hair restoration procedures I've performed is a full, natural-looking head of hair. I work directly with my patients for the consultation, the procedure, and the follow-up, so we can achieve the best results possible. When people see what we accomplish, I don't want them to think,
"Wow, great hair transplant."
I want them to think,
"Wow, great hair."
Go to drvanceelliott.com and contact us today.
Legendary is here with BetMGM Casino. Download to check out over 4,000 casino games, including exclusive slots like Survivor and hundreds of live dealer games. Unlock Vegas magic and sign up for the BetMGM app. See BetMGM.com for terms. 18 plus, Alberta only. Please play responsibly. Subject to eligibility requirements. If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. BetMGM operates pursuant to an operating agreement with the Alberta iGaming Corporation. Standard message and data rates may apply.
The Jason Gregor Show. On Sports 1440.
Swing and a fly ball, center field. Going back in Church. Back toward the wall. Has just completed an improbable comeback. A two-run game-winning home run. The Phillies down 4-0. They win it 6-4. It's the first walk-off home run in more than 3 years.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
It's wide open. Coxie's got 2. Touchdown Argos.
Sports 1440 brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Of course, tomorrow's Lotto Max an estimated $10 million. Then on Wednesday, Lotto 649, $18 million gold ball jackpot. PlayAlberta.ca. Also, check out the sports section. You got the Jason Gregor Show daily boosted picks. I got one up there. Declan's got one up there. Go check it out. Remember to use your game sense. Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, Mackenzie McLennan. We got intern Connor here as well, and Cam Tate in the Sports 1440 studios here in West Edmonton Mall. Hope you guys all had a fantastic weekend as we kick this one off. And it was fun on a multitude of levels. There was the Edmonton Elks picking up a huge win on Friday night. A win that maybe they shouldn't have won, but they got back into it. The first half was not good by any means for the team, but, battling through a little adversity for them to come back. I think that's a sign of what good teams do. And beating Winnipeg in that fashion, coming down to a field goal. If you were at the game, it was incredible. I mean, first half, not so much. But second half, the momentum shift. And then to win it on a walk-off, outstanding. Now, bye week before they get the Labor Day Classic down in Calgary on the long weekend, and then the team's back at Edmonton for the rematch. Not too bad. Also, Argos took down the Tiger Cats 39-20, kind of a beatdown, and then the Rough Riders, just a bit of a struggle right now as they fell to the BC Lions in Vancouver. Now for them, they get the Argos. So that's an interesting matchup. Winnipeg takes on Montreal. Hopefully, for the Elks' sake, Montreal can do them a bit of a favor. You got the Ticats and Calgary, and then BC Ottawa. So when you look at that Western Division, it should get a little more compact. If the Riders lose, that'd be a good thing, but I feel like they'll get the job done this week, taking on Toronto. With a win, they'd only be a game back of the Elks, and then the Winnipeg Blue Bombers right in there as well. Now, it'll be tough against Montreal. Even in Winnipeg, that's a tough team. We've seen Davis Alexander on the road this year be pretty incredible with what he's been able to do. You look back week 1 against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, 336 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Week 3 in Edmonton, in the loss, he had a touchdown, 356 yards through the air. Week 7, 402 yards, 3 touchdowns. And week 9, it was 420 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. So in 4 games, 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and over 1,500 passing yards for Davis Alexander. So they'll try to keep that going this week in Winnipeg. We'll talk a little bit about that as the week progresses. Friday night football in that one, 2 games Saturday, 1 game on Sunday. But for the Elks, as we mentioned, bye week, we'll check in with the team, see if we can get some players to hop on this week as they await the Calgary Stampeders. On the show today, lots to get to. Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine will join us. We'll continue our look around the NHL's goaltending situations, division by division. I have the numbers here for the Metro. We had the Rangers as the number 1 team. Today we'll do the Atlantic, and that's a very competitive division. The goaltending could be the difference at the end of the year. So we'll get Kevin Woodley's breakdown on that, stats of the day, talk a little boxing, some Hockey Hall of Fame as well. Rick Walters will join us once again, former CFLer, coach, player, Grey Cup champion for the hour. Now we'll run through the Elks game, recap that. We'll look around the CFL and then also talk some NFL with Rick. We've got the roundtable with Mac and Declan. Dennis Bernstein from the 4th period will join us as well to talk some more hockey, spec, and then Susie Wargen going to join us, the Broncos sideline reporters. The Denver Broncos, probably feeling pretty hungry after last season, the way things went, losing in the AFC Championship without their starting quarterback. Bo Nix is back and ready to go. We'll talk to Susie about that. And of course, we'll get to Cam Tate and the 2-minute warning. Text line is 1-833-401-1440 if you'd like to get in on the chat. And also, if you're on YouTube, Sports 1440 AM is where you can go. Make sure you hit that like button as well. We bring in our co-host, Declan Kruger, today. Declan, welcome back. You were out on the island for a wedding over the weekend. How did it all go?
Yeah, it went well. There was someone with 287,000 Instagram followers who was on Yellowstone there.
What?
That was pretty cool. Yeah, Maya Lowe. I don't know if I just doxed her. Maybe I shouldn't have said all that.
Too late.
Yeah, that was crazy of me, but she was out there. People were taking pictures of her. We were trying to figure out who she was. Yeah, it was cool. The island is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I haven't been out to the island since I was a kid, but I wanted to move there. It was gorgeous. Like, Pacific Northwest living. I guess in Canada it's Pacific.
Yeah.
Southwest living, but it was pretty cool.
What did you guys do, like, outside of the wedding? You had one day there, or were you back on Sunday?
Yeah, back on Sunday.
Okay.
So flew in Friday, spent the day in Victoria. Saturday, just wedding all day, and then Sunday, spent the morning in Chemainus and got back out to the airport for a 3:00 flight.
Toonie bar?
Open bar.
Oh, wow.
Live band.
Oh, classy. A soiree.
It was a really, really, really nice location.
Nice. Yeah. That's awesome. And so you didn't get a chance to watch the Elks game live in person. Obviously, you were heading out. Did you watch it on the telly?
Yeah, I got a chance to see what was going on. Tale of Two Halves, obviously, that we talked about. I mentioned this morning at Elks Nation. I mentioned it on Low Tide Show. Like, you'll have games where a team adjusts at halftime, right? But it's pretty rare you see a game where two teams completely flip the script like that, which is what happened in this game. And I asked Eddie, I was like, what has to be said in each locker room at halftime for that flip to happen? So it was pretty interesting stuff.
Did Eddie tell you how he ran into Brandon and I at the game?
He did not.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about that off air. Yeah, I mean, I've kind of been bringing this up since like week 7, where the Elks had allowed 1 touchdown, I believe, at that point in the third quarter. Like, I don't know what happens, in the dressing room between coach and the players. Obviously, adjustments are made, but I feel like I haven't seen a team make these good of adjustments in a long time, especially on the defensive side of the football. So when Rick's here, I want to talk to him about that. Like, Doug, we played high school ball. I don't know about you. I was just kind of zoned out at halftime. Like maybe try to grab a couple oranges if I could. What actually happens in like the pro locker room at halftime? I assume coaches meet quickly because you always see them run into the field, especially if you're up in the press box. Like those guys are running down to get in there quickly and then relay that message onto the team. But we'll see because it was really impressive for sure. Pillman texting in. Did you guys take the wheels off Tater's chair? Is he pulling an all dayer? I think Tater just likes to be around us. I don't know. He's not responding to me. He's smiling. Okay, yeah, he just likes to be around us. That's definitely what it is. Some other news and notes from around the sporting world today. Looks like Deshaun Watson is going to be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns when the season gets going, which is crazy. I mean, we talked about the Broncos with Andy McNamara on the Frenzy a couple weeks ago, and I thought he had like a really, really good point about that organization, and you know what he is. He's not the future. You've paid him. Yes, he's going to be on the team, of course. You just got to kind of ride out that contract. But you also drafted 2 young quarterbacks, and that might be the route you want to go to find out what they can do in the future, whether it is Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel. Find out what they are, because then you're going to have to make the next decision. Is that going to be the guy to lead your team, or are you going to be looking for another quarterback in next spring's draft? Well, they're not going that route. It appears. It looks like Deshaun Watson will be the starting quarterback. We know what he can do. He hasn't done that in a long time. And that, to me, is something that I think is very, very interesting. We talked about this Browns team. I like the roster buildup. I like what they've done. I just don't like the quarterback position. And maybe Watson finds his game. Maybe he becomes that guy. But I don't think too many people would be willing to bet money on that. And I don't know. It kind of surprised me when I saw that. Other news, Chuba Hubbard, local running back, Sherwood Park to be specific, had the hamstring injury. I was expected to miss a couple weeks. Looks like it'll just be till the start of the regular season. So he's expecting to be good to go once the season starts. And the New England Patriots, well, we know they upgraded their receiving core. They brought in A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs this offseason through free agency. And with the injuries to Jalen Reed in Houston, figure why not make that phone call? Kayshon Boutte going to be joining them in exchange for, did I say Jaden Reed? That's who the players traded for. It was Jaden Higgins, who went down with the torn ACL. So a good target, I would say, for the Houston Texans. His color scheme doesn't change or anything like that. And the Patriots bringing in, moving on from the receiver. So that makes sense. I don't think anyone's too surprised by that one. MTR texting, Kittle back, CMC back. The George Kittle one is absolutely incredible. Like, everyone knows you don't just play in this league for as long as he has and be as good as you have been without grinding. But to have the injury, the Achilles that he had in January, and then to be back ready to go, I thought for sure he might miss a little bit of time. Christian McCaffrey, we knew he would be back at some point. Yeah, it was just kind of a matter of when. But he will be back. That's good to see. And then also from the CFL, the Ottawa Red Blacks, and this is another thing we'll talk about with Rick Walters, how bad they have been. Jim Popp going to be back as a senior football advisor. That's big. That's big. We know that Popp has been around the CFL game for a long time. He's won 5 championships. The most Grey Cup appearances by a GM in league history with 11. He's with the Alouettes for 21 years, 3 championships, 8 Grey Cup appearances, 8 Grey Cup appearances, 19 playoff appearances. Also built up the Baltimore Stallions and then won with the Argos. So bringing in Jim Popp, I think that's to hopefully try to stabilize what is going on in Ottawa. Like, as bad as the Elks were and all the situations that were not going their way, I don't know if it got this bad. Like, to be just blowing things up. Some might argue it might be a little bit, some things that weren't as good. We know that. But the Ottawa Red Blacks, the way they've kind of imploded this year, it's been nothing short of impressive. Deck, bringing in a guy like Popp, you think it's too little too late? Or do you think I don't think for this season, but going forward, like a guy who, when he speaks, you listen.
Oh, well, it's just the most desperate move you've seen a team make in a long time. This is just another like testament to being a GM and a coach clearly doesn't work out for anyone. I mean, obviously, I know there have been cases of success.
It's tough, though.
Oh my goodness, is it ever? No, I don't like this Ottawa team just has so many fundamental problems at so many different levels, whether it be, you know, football ops, whether it be a lot of stuff with the coaching, whether it be the players on the field, guys in the locker room. Like, I don't even know as an 0-10 team. Like now you're supposed to listen to a new voice. And like a lot of these guys, I don't think are going to know what Jim Pop has done or meant to the CFL. Like I just think it's such a too little too late desperate move. And I don't really think it'll work out. I think it's great for the organization to have him there, but I just don't think it'll resonate.
No, Freds. Isn't Jim Pop like 80? What's next? They're going to bring back Scotty Bowman to be their next head coach? Jim Pop's 61. I mean, don't let the gray hair fool you. I think he's had that gray hair for a long time.
He's been out of the CFL for 11 years.
Has it been that long?
No, it's been 7.
7-11, close enough. I think there's like this is such a mess in Ottawa. I feel like he can get it back on track to a certain extent, but you're not gonna. Well, I don't know. Like, does he want to recommit? Like, he's had a heck of a career. Was it like Rick Lallister was brought back at one point in Edmonton here to try to get things back on track in 2023, right? And he kind of sat in as president and CEO until they found the next guy, the right guy. Mm-hmm. He obviously was here for 9 years, I believe, before that. So I think that he kind of had that experience, was ready to go. I don't know. I kind of equate it to that. Not saying it's going to automatically make things work, but he came and he still goes to games. You see him, I think, sitting in with Ed Hervey at Elks games still. I don't know. It can't hurt. It can't hurt. I think that's the biggest thing here. And hopefully when he speaks, they listen. But you're right, Declan. Like the last few examples we've seen of head coach GMs, Ryan Dinwiddie being the latest, it's just too much on your plate. I think being a head coach in the NFL CFL takes too much of your effort. And I mean, you're really seeing it, hearing kind of how, like, in the past, the successful head coaches haven't been the ones who are hands-on with every position group. Like, they hire guys, put them in the right position, support when you can, but it's just too much work to then go up to the office and go with your scouts. Okay, who are we bringing in here? Who's available? Who can we get on the neg list? I think it's just way too much work for it. So we'll see how it works out in Ottawa. It's another storyline to follow. And again, we will talk about that later on in the show. Of course, as I mentioned, lots on the program. Susie Warden going to join us, the Denver Broncos sideline reporter. We'll talk to Speck, get his thoughts on, maybe what Leon Draisaitl said in the European press tour about being coached by Mike Babcock. Interesting stuff. Dennis Bernstein, we'll look around the NHL with him. We've got the roundtable with Mac and Declan. Rick Walter's going to join us. We'll hear the stats of the day. But coming up next, we will be joined by Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine as we continue our look at the goaltending rankings. Today, we'll talk Atlantic. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and Twitch, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Wow, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at ewell.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Don't let rookies scratch your custom wheels. Evolve Wheels and Tires uses premium touchless equipment designed to protect your wheel and tire investment. Trust the enthusiasts at Evolve Wheels and Tires, Edmonton's premium wheel specialists. Evolve your ride. Evolve your experience.
At GS Construction, we won't quit until we find a way to get the job done. And the right person makes all the difference. We're looking for our next superintendent, an experienced leader ready to take on the role. Because while GS Construction is building the water, sewage, and drainage drainage systems Edmonton communities rely on, the superintendent is building up the team. If you know how to keep a job site safe, productive, and moving, we want to hear from you. Visit gsconstruction.ca/careers today.
Crispy caramelized edges, a pillowy, airy center. Meet the new Papa John's Pan Pizza. Made with Parmesan and Romano cheeses, Papa John's special garlic sauce, and Italian seasoning, all baked directly into the bottom of the crust for a signature golden finish and crispy, savory crunch. Grab a medium pan pizza for just $16.99 today at your local Papa John's. Order now in the app or at papajohns.ca. Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
Come for Canada's largest trade shows, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. And stay for the experience at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Looking for the perfect place to host your next big event? From trade shows to galas, meetings, and concerts, the Edmonton Expo Centre has the space, event expertise, and service to make your next event unforgettable. With over 522,000 square feet of flexible event space, in-house catering, and operational expertise, they bring your biggest vision to life. Learn more at edmontonexpocentre.com today.
2006, we saw the launch of Twitter. JT was #1 with Sexy Back, and the corner of Jasper Ave and 118th was never the same.
On the Rocks. Celebrate 20 years of OTR.
Friday, September 18th.
With Whale and the Wolves. Whale and the Wolves.
20 years of music and memories.
20 years of On the Rocks.
Friday, September 18th. Get in early. Jasper Ave and 118th.
When your project can't afford downtime, call Japa Equipment Rentals. From excavators and wheel loaders to compaction equipment, Japa has the machines you need. Trusted since 1972. Visit japaequipment.com or stop our Edmonton or Calgary locations.
Professional golf is coming to Blackhawk Golf Club this fall. The ATV Classic, presented by Building Trades of Alberta, brings the stars of PGA Tour Americas to you. Enjoy the ATV Fan Zone, presented by Michelob Ultra, where golf meets festival vibes. Upgrade to VIP-covered terrace seating with premium food and beverage options. September 17th to 20th. Tickets start at just $25, and the first 250 buyers receive a PGA Tour Americas commemorative gift. Get yours at atvclassic.com.
Feeling overwhelmed by debt? Concerned about what the next few weeks or months will bring for your finances? My name is Parveen Middleton. I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. You don't have to navigate this alone. Together, we can review your options and build a personalized plan to reduce your payments and get you out of debt, so you can breathe again. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to book your free consultation and discover your debt-free future.
Portions of this hour brought to you by the Nation Golf Tournament. Friday, August 28th in Millwoods Golf Course with golf, drinks, swag, food, and fun. Every swing supports Gregor's grad and helps graduates sign on graduation day. Sign up at nationexperiences.ca before it sells out.
The Jason Gregor Show with guest host Connor Halley. This is Sports 1440.
Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Oh, Declan. $2:22. Welcome back. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Tomorrow night's Lotto Max, an estimated $10 million. Wednesday, you got the Lotto 649, $18 million gold ball jackpot. Or you can do our special bets here with the Jason Gregor Show. Late night baseball. How about that? The Cubs, Padres, and Reds to win, boosted. And then deck selects. We're trying to get a win here. We're going with the Lynx and the Dream. Money line. just get back on track here on the winning side of things. Remember, use your game sense at playalberta.ca. Connor Halley, Duncan Kruger, Mackenzie McLennan, and Cam Tate hanging out with you here from the Sports 1440 studios. If you're not tuning in, you can always watch us on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and Twitch. YouTube is probably my recommendation. We got a nice little chat going there. You can hop on, say hi to Mac as we roll through the show today. We got the stats of the day coming up in a few minutes. Rick Walters, Dennis Bernstein, Mark Spector, and Susie Wargen, Denver Broncos sideline reporter. I wonder if Susie's ever got ran over by a player. I think that would be one of those things. You got to keep your head on a swivel. Inevitably, it does happen. Those camera guys probably get it the worst. Or like the photographers, they're on their knees taking a picture, and when you're getting the guy coming towards you, there's nowhere to go. You're just taking that hit. So we'll talk to her about that and more, but right now we're going to go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. Of course, I would always recommend the new Red Bull drink that they have there. Quite tasty. But the most wanted menu items from around the world have now landed in Canada. And you can nab the McDonald's World Menu Heist at select restaurants. Hurry in before we have to give them back, only at McDonald's. And in case you missed it, last week on the Jason Gregor Show, we kicked off our goaltending preview. We went out to the Metro with Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine at NHL.com, ranked our teams 1 through 8, and a little bit of a change with that. It's not a duo, it is the trios. So we'll let you know when Kevin gets back on. We'll recap how we did with the Metro. The Atlantic Division last year, I think, as everybody kind of knows, extremely competitive. Some really good teams there this year, and it could be even more competitive because I think, we all think, I'm not changing the game here, Florida Panthers going to be a really good team. The Toronto Maple Leafs probably bounce back. Can the Canadians, Lightning, Sabres all keep it going? The Bruins would be interesting. The Lightning, obviously good. And that's the thing I'm watching out for. Did they get better by losing their captain? Really good goal scorer? I don't know. They moved on from him pretty quickly and sent him to a divisional rival who has Stanley Cup aspirations. Seems like they wanted him out of there. But we're talking goaltending as we bring in Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine at NHL.com. Kevin, how was the weekend?
It was good. It was good, Connor. It was really good. I watched a lot of volleyball streaming over the weekend. My daughter's team down in Hawaii, her second year in college, proud dad moment. She had their first tournament against a bunch of teams from Alaska. They called it Hawaii Alaska Challenge, and she got her first touches. She got into the game for the first time as after redshirting last year as a freshman. So super proud dad moment to see her get to do that. And that was I watched a lot of. It was nice weather here. I spent most of it just watching indoor volleyball.
That is amazing. Congratulations to you and your family. That's so cool. Are you guys going to get out there and take in a few games?
You bet we are. We're heading down there. The Canucks take off on the road early in the season, and the intention is to go watch 3 home games there. It's great. It's just it's Division II volleyball, University of Hawaii Hilo, but they pack the place. They have I believe for 2 years in a row, they have the highest attendance of any Div II women's volleyball program in the country. It's a really good time, so I'm looking forward to it.
No, my question, because I've always been curious. Like, I love watching football from Hawaii because it's late night. The family goes to bed. So obviously you're going to be staying up later when these teams play. But how often does you have to make the flight back to the continent? Is that like every couple of weeks they're flying to take on an opponent, or
a lot of obviously the home games, but then also there are 2 or 3 other Div 2 teams in the Honolulu area. I think there's 2, HPU and Chaminade. And then they do a couple of trips a year, 2 or 3, depending on playoff stuff and preseason tournaments. I think this year it'll be 3+ playoffs if they make it. One to NoCal, sort of Fresno area and a bunch of schools around there. And then another one to sort of SoCal, California, Point Loma in around the San Diego area, and a couple of schools down there. So it's usually 2 regular season trips, 1 preseason tournament, which is coming up this weekend, and then another, depending on, qualifying for regionals and playoffs, 1 more trip after that.
Oh, that is awesome. Well, congrats again. That's really cool to hear. Well, we brought you on now to continue our previewing of the goaltending by each division as the trios. Now, last couple of years, it's been the duos. Now we're talking trios. And last week, we talked about the Metro 8 through 1. We had the Penguins, Blue Jackets, Islanders, Flyers, Devils, Canes, Caps, and Rangers. And you said it yourself, some of those are very, very close. As we head out to the Atlantic Division, we know how competitive it is at the top, with I think a few more teams ready to make a push here. So goaltending could be an X factor of sorts in this division. So why don't we kick it off? Who do you have in the lowly 8th spot this season?
Well, I will say quickly to go back to the Metro. We had a potential change last week with Elvis Merzlikins undergoing shoulder surgery. I know they haven't announced the timeline, Connor, but it tends to be an injury that takes months, 3 to 4, sometimes 5 to 7 to recover from. So look for them to maybe be active, because I was already had question marks about their depth chart, and without Elvis, who may have finished overall with kind of below average numbers, but gave them some really good stretches. I think they're going to need to fortify it. So when we look at that unrestricted free agent list, whether it's a Reimer who was on the ice in Kelowna this weekend as part of a sort of tournament jamboree thing, but it looks like he's been training, or Cam Talbot, or maybe a Connor Ingram. I wouldn't be surprised if they're shopping in another name who's evidently coming back from Russia, Alexander Georgiev. After a year overseas in the KHL, is poking around some NHL jobs, as I understand it. So interesting times there. But let's get to the Atlantic. I just had to have that update in. Talk about starting right out of the gate with something that will raise some eyebrows and certainly could leave me with egg on my face by the time it all ends. But I've got your Florida Panthers, your 2-time Stanley Cup champion, 2 of the last 3 years, moving on from Sergei Bobrovsky. And listen, this is a pretty good division from a goaltending standpoint, but I've got them in 8th. And that's probably not fair to Jacob Markstrom. He was below expected last year, about 0.5%, which is a goal every 200 shots below league average. So not a huge margin, but 58th in the NHL. He was actually a lot better than that when he was healthy, Connor. If you take a look at the times he was sort of coming back and talking to people around the situation, it sounds like coming back early, where he just wasn't moving well, but he came back and wanted to be back in the net for the Devils. And then you look at some of the games he was in where they left him in, for 8 goals, just cooked his numbers on some of those nights. And some of the stretches where he was playing at less than 100% cooked his numbers. So I know he's capable of better. I think he actually was better than even the adjusted proprietary numbers show last year. But I've got questions. I mean, he's a guy that likes shots and relies a little bit on feel and rhythm. He's not necessarily a technician. And, maybe goalie coach Robbie Tallison's helped dial that in a little bit. But I think it's fair to ask whether this might be a tough fit behind a team that doesn't give up a lot of shots. They're not a team that gives up volume. And they could be a team that is a little difficult for him to play behind. They're good defensively, but in terms of how they defend fitting his strengths, I've got some questions there. And I hope he proves me wrong. Like I said, I think he was better than most people realized last year. But then behind him, Akira Schmid was close to -2% last year, behind a 900 expected in Vegas. So good defensive environment. It wasn't about poor defending. And he was almost 2 goals below league average on every 100 shots. So that's 2 goals every 3 games, Connor. That's, he, again, technical guy, almost the opposite of Markstrom, doesn't rely a lot on feel, puts himself in position to be hit. He's a big body. He's got decent hands. And so maybe he will be a better fit behind Florida. But the numbers he had last year, the lack of experience, and then Cooper Black, who's never played in the NHL, being in the 3 spot there, be interesting to see if they look for help on waivers or sign another sort of NHL experienced goalie. But when I add up 1, 2, and 3, it's kind of hard to put them ahead of any other team in this division.
All right. I mean, I think a lot of Oilers fans are okay with that. I mean, they'd be happy to hear the Panthers potentially with the lowest goaltending trio in the division. We'll see how it plays out, though. How about at number 7?
Well, this is I could have made even more headlines if I had put this team 8. And honestly, when I look at it, the argument between the two of them and the ties between the two of them make it somewhat ironic. And you could do this argument either way. It's the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I say that as somebody who, my personal opinion is I think Bobrovsky will probably be fine there. I don't worry about his age. I've seen some of the writing on just how he takes care of himself, and we've done a lot of that writing in years past. This guy's just he's an elite athlete when it comes to his conditioning and the way he looks after himself. But the reality is, in 7 of his 8 years in Florida, he underperformed what a league average goalie would do. So good in the playoffs, but just hasn't been that in the regular season. Last year, those numbers dropped all the way down to 81st, 2 goals on every 100 shots below league average. Maybe some of that was just wear and tear coming off 3 straight runs to the Stanley Cup finals and 2 straight victories. So maybe there'll be a bounce back just in terms of rest for Sergei. You know he'll be focused. You know he'll be in the right kind of condition. Anthony Stolarz had his worst year last year of the last 4 or 5, and he still finished slightly above expected. So, like, there's the hope for upside. Stolarz, with any kind of bounce back, can get back to like the elite levels he was putting up the year before. And hopefully that means you don't have to play Bobrovsky too much. And this tandem rockets up the charts just the way they did together in Florida, which was one of Bob's best years in the regular season in Florida, was with Stolarz. Akhtiamov had a tough time in the NHL last year, but won a Calder Cup. Like, I like him in the 3-hole if they need some spots, but not a guy they're going to have to lean on because both of the guys ahead of him know how to start for long stretches. So, and he doesn't need waivers, so there's no risk of losing him, which is an important part of this discussion. So there's a lot of different reasons that I think this tandem might be better, but at the end of the day, I'm doing this based largely on statistics, and the statistics paint a pretty tough story, even with Stolarz having a ton more upside and his floor being higher, being so high. Like, his worst season being above average is a remarkable statement. Very few guys play at that level in their down years. So maybe this all goes better, but the numbers say this could actually be the 8th ranked tandem or trio in the division. I've got questions about Florida. That's why I put them behind them. But, again, both those teams, obviously we know how good Bob can be, Stolarz, we know how good Markey can be. Both situations that could end up finishing a lot higher than I've got them ranked right now. But the math is the math, and it's hard to argue against it.
Kevin Willey of In Goal Magazine joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show, taking a look at the Atlantic Division today, ranking the goalies 8 through 1. Panthers at 8, Maple Leafs at 7. Who comes in at 6, Kev?
Yeah, Linus Ullmark and the Ottawa Senators. And this is the tough one because Ullmark was top 20 in the second half last year. And I think you'll probably see that guy more this year. Obviously, there were some outside there, like there were some, he had to take a leave of absence. There were some issues that kept him away from the team. The depth behind him was an issue last year. Levi Merilainen was so good 2 years ago, but really struggled with the expectations as the backup last year. And that just put even more pressure on Linus Ullmark. So I believe that Ullmark has the ability to be one of the best goalies in this division. And yet last year he finished below expected despite being top 20 in the second half of the season. They are a really good defensive team, but I still have questions about the decisions they've made behind Ullmark. That's what this ranking is more about. Sam Ersson was, again, in that like bottom 10% of the league last year, more than 2 goals on every 100 shots below expected. He's a guy who should have a higher floor than that. And maybe, the defending as well as they defend in Ottawa, maybe that will be a good fit. I know the goalie coach, the new goalie consultant, Maciej Schwo, knows him from Sweden. That's a part of this acquisition, and he believes there's better there. I believe there's better there, and we saw it at times in Philadelphia, but it's not like he was being asked to stop bullets in his teeth, behind the Rick Tocchet coach Flyers last year either, and he really struggled. And then further complicating this is Levi Merilainen. Like, unless they're a team that's willing to consider keeping 3, he's probably the guy. Well, he's obviously the guy headed to the American Hockey League, Connor, and he's a guy that, when I asked scouts and goalie-specific scouts, directors, and coaches, polled a group of them last summer for their sort of top goalies under the age of 23, he cracked the top 10 list quite easily, and he was on a lot of coaches' top 5 lists. And he's had success in the NHL. It just didn't go his way last year. There are still teams that'll look at him as someone they'll take a flyer on if they feel like, maybe a developing team that's got room to sort of groom a guy in the number 3 spot. And if they lose him in Ottawa, they don't really have anything behind him that's NHL ready. A lot of their other sort of prospects have moved on. Guys like Mads Sogard, who'd had a taste in the NHL. I think Hunter Shepard moved on. He had taste in the NHL in previous years. So they don't have any NHL experience behind him. Losing him is a real risk. And I think it's riskier because there are questions about, whether Sam Ersson can get back to at least being a high floor guy. Because last year he didn't even do that for the Philadelphia Flyers. And that's why I've got the Ottawa Senators lower than what their number 1 goaltender, Linus Ullmark, probably deserves.
All right. That's a fair breakdown when you put it all into perspective there. So who's coming in at the number 5 spot then?
The Detroit Red Wings. And this is interesting because John Gibson finished even, basically right around league average. And so did Daniel Tarasov. The difference was Daniel Tarasoff, who came in from Florida as a free agent signing, and I like that signing. He finished even after a sizzling first 2 months, so he came back down to earth. Gibson started slow. He was playing a little low and wide in his stance. He sort of got his feet back under him and started playing more like the John Gibson we saw in Anaheim. And he was actually really good. Like his numbers in the second half, despite the team collapsing down the stretch, still were above expected. So Gibson sort of showed for long stretches that he could be the guy a lot of people thought he would be in Anaheim, and yet it still wasn't enough for the Red Wings. There's questions about Tarasoff because it's so much of his numbers was based off a hot start and he came back down to earth. And then behind him, there's no NHL experience, but there is upside. Trey Augustine is turning pro this year. Michael Prostova had a really good year last year, outplayed Sebastian Cossa to the point where they made him expendable. Listen, like Augustine has no experience as a pro, and it's going to take time. They're going to need John Gibson at his best, and they got it for stretches last year. Tarasov has upside, but the reality is they are both just holding this job for Trey Augustine, who I believe firmly is going to be a star in this league. We've seen goalies hit earlier. We've got another name further up this list on these rankings that's kind of showing it doesn't always take time, quote unquote, for goalies to develop. And Augustine could very much be one of those guys. But for now, he's depth. And it's going to be up to Gibson and Tarasoff. And they got there in different ways, but they both finished league average. And I think the fact just league average goaltending is enough to be middle pack in this division. Tells you a lot about how good these names are coming up on the teams next.
Very quickly, how long do you think before Trey Augustine gets his feet wet, gets into the NHL, and can reach that status?
I mean, Gibson's got an injury history. I think he was mostly fine last year, but there is a history of injuries there, obviously, in Anaheim. So you got to think he's going to get a taste at some point. Could be really soon. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Development is rarely linear, and it is your first year pro is your biggest step you'll take. And so maybe there needs to be some learning in the American Hockey League. I just think this guy's got all the tools, and I think he's going to be up there before long. Like he could get a taste this year, push for a backup spot by next year, and be pushing for more than that 2 years from now, 3 at the most. I mean, they slow cooked him in the NCAA for 3 years. There was nothing left to prove there. A little surprised. I thought maybe he might go back there, especially with the nil money that's now available, and become an unrestricted free agent next August. But he starts with the Red Wings, and I think after keeping their young goaltenders in the minors for too long a period of time, like they did with Cossa, I think he's going to push through that ceiling a lot sooner than their previous prospects have.
Kevin Woodley of InGoal Magazine joining us here on the Gregor Show. Connor Halley sitting in. So we've done the last 4: Panthers, Maple Leafs, Sens, Red Wings. Who are the top 4 now?
I got Boston in the 4 spot. Jeremy Swayman had a really great bounce back season last year. Full goal, full percentage point. So a goal every 100 shots is the best way to think of that, above expected based on the environment. Swayman has the ability, Vezina finalist last year. He has the ability to be the best. Like there's a handful of guys that are like at the elite of the league. Like obviously we've got Tampa and Vasilevsky. Dobish had a great year. Like there's some really good goalies in this division. Swayman has the ability to be the best of them. So he's a guy that could push this up. The only reason they're as low as they are right now, it's not so much about him. It's about the lack of experience behind him. And I am a big Michael DiPietro guy. He's going to get his shot this year, I believe. That they traded away Jonas Korpisalo to clear room for Michael DiPietro in the offseason. Brandon Bussey, who played with DiPietro in the minor leagues, told me he should have been the NHL last year, if not before that. He's going to get a shot. I believe he's going to be just fine in that role. But the reality is he's never done it before, and there might be a few growing pains. And then you add the fact that Yuri Patera, who missed almost an entire season 2 years ago because of injury, was good in the American League behind a bad team in Abbotsford last year, but only got into 1 NHL game with the Canucks. He was kind of hung out to dry, but at the end of the day, he gave up 7. That's your 3 spot in the organization. They go from having a glut of depth to not having a ton of it. And that's the reason I've got the Bruins 4 behind some other teams in this division.
All right. So who's on the podium in the number 3 spot here?
Tampa, which might feel insulting to a guy like Andrei Vasilevsky, who is full value for winning the Vezina Trophy last year. Plus 0.9%. So a little bit below what Swayman had on a sort of per shot basis when you adjust for shot quality. but still a really good sign. Played a lot, bounced back. They're kind of a lot like Montreal, who we'll talk about in a minute. Kind of depends. My answer to where I rank them depends a little bit on who the backup is. Like they traded for Dennis Hildeby, and I really like Dennis Hildeby as a fit for how they play and his strengths and his relative strengths and weaknesses. He was, again, much smaller sample size, but his adjusted save percentage was actually slightly better than Andrei Vasilevsky's last season. And so if it's him, I might even put them up, but I don't know if it's him because Jonas Johansson's still under contract. And, he's a guy that was almost 2% below expected last year. Very opposite end of the spectrum, almost 2 goals worse than league average on every 100 shots. And yet, you wonder how they're going to roll this out. If it's Vasilevsky and Hildeby, with a little bit of time for Hildeby to get comfortable behind a new team, a new system, and new teammates, that could end up being the best tandem in this division. But right now, because of that uncertainty, because of Johansson's struggles relative to environment, I've got them further down the list in the 3 spot.
All right, so we are ranking the Atlantic Division goaltending tandems here on the Jason Gregor Show with Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine. You said we'll talk about Montreal in a minute. Is that right now or another minute?
It's right now. Montreal Canadiens are in the 2 spot. And Jakub Dobeš had an incredible playoffs. He had a really good regular season. Again, his numbers were just slightly behind Andrei Vasilevsky. His adjusted save percentage, so on a per shot basis, 26th in the NHL at plus 0.8%. So saving you close to a goal every 100 shots, close to a goal every 3 games. That's it's really good in today's NHL. Jacob Fowler in a much smaller sample size, and with an 878 expected save percentage, so a tougher environment defensively in terms of the quality of shot he faced in that smaller sample size, was plus 2.2%. Only Devin Cooley amongst NHL semi-regulars, guys that saw at least 500 chances last year, had a better adjusted save percentage than Jacob Fowler. And so if it's Fowler in the 2 spot, this could be the best tandem. And I've got him as my breakout candidate this year. Like, I think he's a guy that, as good as Dobeš is and as good as Dobeš can be, I know there are goalies around the league that think Jacob Fowler might end up being one of the best in the entire league. And his results weren't far from that just last year. So you put those 2 in the NHL and you've got a hell of a tandem. The question is, are they going to do it? Because Fowler doesn't require waivers and Sam Montembeault does. And Montembeault, again, we talked about Johansson at minus 1.8%. with the Lightning, Montembeault minus 1.9, 80th in the NHL with an adjusted save percentage. So we know he's capable of better. His best years have still only been slightly above expected. He's never had a season, he's never had a season like Dobeš had last year. He's never had a season like in a small sample like Fowler had last year. And yet, because of waiver status, it is not a slam dunk that it's Fowler that stays. And that's the reason this isn't the number 1 tandem in this division, because I think there's still a chance, just based on waiver status, that Fowler might not be in the National Hockey League. And yet, if he is, not only could they be the number 1 tandem, not only just in the division, maybe one of the best ones in the league, but he could end up being a guy who's at the top end of that tandem. And this is nothing against Jakub Dobeš. It's just how good Jacob Fowler projects to be. And this isn't just me. And I had a chance to be on the ice with him, but I was on the ice with him and Jeremy Swayman, and Swayman just raving about this kid. So he's the kind of goalie that other goalies look at and say, damn. So that's, and yet he might start in the American Hockey League. That's where the uncertainty comes from for me with the Montreal Canadiens.
So by the process of elimination, we've got the Buffalo Sabres in the number 1 spot.
Yeah, and that might leave a few people scratching their heads, but Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen finished plus 0.9%. And if you remember, that's the exact same number, again, relative to expected save percentage, so relative to defensive environment and shot quality, the exact same number that Andrei Vasilevsky had last year. Now, he played not as much as Vasilevsky, and there were some, Vasilevsky was more consistent, but at the end of the day, he arrived with the same totals. Alex Lyon was actually slightly better at plus 1%. And Colton Ellis was plus 0.3 in a small sample. They are the only team in this division and the only team that we've looked at in the Eastern Conference so far with 3 guys on the depth chart who played in the NHL last season and all finished above expected, outperform their defensive environment. So they've been open about the fact they're going to probably run 3 again this year. I like how it worked for them last year. I think UPL learned some things from Alex Lyon and the way he thinks the game. And I think as long as they keep defending as well as they did last year, and they all had expected save percentage, so their defensive environment was above NHL average for all 3 guys. But they're the only, when your top 2 guys both have adjusted numbers that are actually better than the Vezina trophy winner, even slightly, and you've got 2 guys like that and a third guy that can give you NHL minutes that you believe in, that's why the Buffalo Sabres are number 1 in my preseason rankings in the Atlantic Division.
Now, just for some fun here, who would you have higher, Buffalo or New York Rangers?
Oh, putting me on the spot, Connor, making me scroll through my notes here, because this really was an exercise in sort of statistical. Well, you know what? Shesterkin's numbers last year were better than either of those 2 guys by a couple, percentage points. Korpisalo's were worse. And in the 3-hole, Dylan Gron was exceptional. So my answer is going to be a bit of a fence-sitting exercise, Connor. You know how I like to sit me on some fences here. If the New York Rangers keep Dylan Garand, either as the 3 or don't lose him on waivers, then they're right there with the Buffalo Sabres. And I think Shesterkin's upside as an elite number 1 puts them ahead. If they lose Dylan Garand, I think that lack of depth compared to the Buffalo Sabres keeping Colton Ellis, and especially how good Garand was last year, again, tiny sample, but like plus 5%, do that for a season and they hand you a trophy at the end of it. How they handle the goalie situation will determine which one I would have higher. I think Shesterkin's upside probably puts him higher for me right now, but that depth that Buffalo has, it's enviable. And their willingness to roll with 3 to hang on to it, I think is a smart decision.
You can call it fence sitting. I'm going to call it a fair, thought out answer, Kevin. So thank you very much. I put you on the spot. You gave a good answer. We'll do this again next week, but we're not going to do the Pacific yet. We're going to save that for the final, right?
Best for last, my friend. Best for last. I don't know if that means it's the best division, but we got to keep that suspense building for the hometown teams. By the way, I was on the ice this morning, and on my way out, I saw Ryan Nugent-Hopkins coming in for a little 3-on-3 skate. So I didn't ask him for any official rankings, but maybe I should have. We've got a couple weeks. Maybe I'll see him again next week.
I was going to say, take a look next time you see him. Kevin, thanks a lot for doing this.
Appreciate it, Connor. Have a great week.
There you go. That is Kevin Woodley of In Goal Magazine at NHL.com. We'll take a quick break here. When we come back, stats of the day is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and Twitch. Brought to you by Alberta.ca.
You see it? Fusion Promo Marketing can make it. Fusion makes high-quality, memorable promotional products for businesses, sports teams, and corporate events. From vision to reality. Get noticed and remembered. Fusion with a Z. Promomarketing.ca.
After Electro's project team hits the field, folks, ready to execute the entire plan for new commercial vehicles.
Absolutely. They're masters of design, build, sketching strategy from initial blueprints to core electrical infrastructure. The team never misses on complex projects.
Known for handling big league constructions and major renovations, ensuring flawless execution. Hire the Action Electrical team to bring home a win for your project. Visit ActionElectrical.net.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your #1 air conditioning company. So when you can't take living in oppressive heat any longer. Call Legacy. Call nice. You've decided that you deserve to be cool and comfortable.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
And with no payments, no interest for 1 year, it could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Tee up for a great day on the course and support the Stony Plain Eagles Senior Men's Hockey Club. It's the Stony Plain Eagles Golf Tournament. Gather your foursome and join the Eagles August 25th at the Links at Spruce Grove for a 2 p.m. shotgun start. Enjoy a fantastic afternoon of golf, great company, and friendly competition, all while supporting the Stony Plain Eagles. Get all the details and register today at stonyplaineagles.com.
Thinking about switching vehicles? Think Subaru. The Subaru Crosstrek was named the 2026 Auto Trader Best Subcompact SUV. And once you drive it, you'll understand why. With impressive fuel efficiency, legendary Subaru symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive, and generous ground clearance, the Crosstrek is ready for your Monday commute and your Saturday adventure. This month, take advantage of loyalty rates as low as 0.49%. So, before you decide your next SUV, come experience the Crosstrek for yourself. Visit your local Subaru dealership today. Welcome to Uncommon.
Photographers, start your cameras. Vision Credit Union's annual photo contest is back. We're asking you to show us the people, places, and moments that made you glad you chose this rural life. Maybe it's the view from your farm, a walk down Main Street, neighbors pitching in, a weekend at the rodeo, or a sunset down a back road. Share your photo to show why life in rural Alberta is a choice worth celebrating. Enter and vote, and what's your share?
Portions of this hour brought to you by CanTorque. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at CanTorque.com.
The Jason Gregor Show with guest host Connor Halley. This is Sports 1440.
Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Connor Halley, Duncan Kruger, Mackenzie McLennan, Connor the intern, Cam Tate with you here in the Sports 1440 studios. Text line is 1-833-401-1440. Let's get to the stats of the day. Brought to you by All-Star Construction. Founded in 2009, they continue to grow. They're hiring general laborers, hydrovac operator, backhoe operator, gas piping technician, and more. Go to Indeed.com and search All-Star Construction. And scrolling through kind of some stats from this day. And Declan, I'm pretty impressed that you kind of knew this already. But in 1908, Canadian champion Tommy Burns knocked out Bill Scar in the 13th round in Sydney, Australia. Sydney Stadium to retain the World Heavyweight Boxing title. It was the third time they fought. Third time he knocked him out. It's the only instance in history where two boxers have fought 3 times for a world title, and each fight taking place in a different continent, of course. North America, Europe, and Australia. Burns' reign as heavyweight champion lasted for 2 years, 10 months, 3 days. It is the 19th longest reign in heavyweight history. His 11 consecutive successful title defense is the joint for the 4th highest total in heavyweight history, alongside Vitaly Klitschko, behind Vladimir Klitschko at 18, Larry Holmes 20, and Joe Louis at 25. Joe Louis, perfect dessert. Although Trevor Berbick and Brian Stiverne have also won a version of the heavyweight championship, Burns is the only Canadian-born heavyweight. They're all Canadian citizens, born in Jamaica and Haiti, but Burns is the only Canadian-born in heavyweight history. Also, fought anyone. We know it was different times back in 1908. This guy would take on anyone. So, shout out to Tommy Burns if you haven't read his story. It is very cool. Also on this day, in 1972, Gordie Howe and Jean Bell were inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. They had combined 3,069 points. I wanted to take a look back and see which Hall of Fame class had the most points. Declan, who do you think would headline the Hall of Fame class with the most points?
Repeat the question.
So if you take a Hockey Hall of Fame class,
okay,
and put all their points together, who do you think would be in that group? Does anyone come to mind?
1 second here. Just a quick Google, not for the answer. I will guess the class of 99.
For Wayne Gretzky.
Yes.
Yeah, that's probably a very fair one. But it wasn't actually that class. It was the 2007 class with his teammate for a long time, Mark Messier, leading the way with over 1,800 points. The class had 5,268. Ron Francis was in there, just under 1,800. Al McInnes had 1,274. Well, Scott Stevens had 309. Not too shabby. The 2004 class had Ray Bork and Paul Coffey. It was just over 3,000. In 2017, teams landing Mark Recchi. They were just under 3,000. And of course, it is the Wayne Gretzky class of 1999 right in there with his points, 2,857. We're talking just regular season. So that is your stat of the day. Wayne Gretzky probably could have done it by himself. It's a little more help, but the 2007 class obviously was pretty good. 5,268 points among them. Text line is 1-833-401-1440. A little bit of a text here. Hacksaw said, Cons, in a 9-team league with 3 teams winning records, how does a team go over? I would suggest their Red Blacks must try to be this woeful. Well, Hacksaw, there's not really a perk to being this bad. Like, there would be the first overall pick in the draft, but it's not like the NFL or the NHL or the NBA draft where you're, trying to land a franchise turnaround type player. I mean, you'll get a very good player. There's some benefit, but not enough for it to be intentional. Unless it's sabotage on the inside, but I can't imagine what's going on in that room. Like, going to work must suck. Just tough for everyone involved, just be awful. We've seen that here. I was like going to Elks practices a couple years with the media wasn't great. It was just like, okay, how do you ask a question this time? It's just the day in, day out. It wasn't a great time. So yeah, I can't imagine it'd be much better. We'll talk a little bit about that more coming up in our next hour. Here's Rick Walters will join us, a long-time CFLer, coach, player, also Grey Cup champion. Right now, we're going to get to a Sports 1440 update with Declan Kruger, brought to you by Go Auto. You can shop over 17,000 vehicles at GoAuto.ca with 31 new vehicle brands and 73 locations to choose from. Find your car. GoAuto.ca.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
News from around the sporting world. The Toronto Network signed Williams for the extreme hardship contract. And CFL Zach Strap did not active at Bombers practice today. And from the Oilers, new cycle, Leon Draisaitl says he's excited to play under Babcock, saying, quote, we're looking to be coach. MLB action will be going at 4:40 today with the Red Sox, Marlins, as well as the Rays and the Tigers. Late game tonight, we'll see the Reds and the Giants. WNBA action will see the Doctors and Lynx at 6, as well as the Dream and the Sparks at 8 o'clock. And in the NFL, Deshaun Watson has been named starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, while San Francisco 49ers owner Jake York arrested in a prostitution case in East Palestine, Ohio. I'm Declan Kruger. This has been a Sports 1440 update. Sports 1440.
Stanley radio station.
Broadcasting on 36 territory.
Tap into the fun of Play Alberta's most popular casino games. From the fast-paced spins of Cash Eruption to the retro thrills of Sevens Wild, online excitement is always at your fingertips. Spin through your choice of popular slots or discover Alberta-exclusive games you won't find anywhere else. Visit playalberta.ca/Gregor to learn more. That's playalberta.ca/Gregor. Must be 18 plus to play. If you gamble, use your game sense.
Are you a skilled laborer? All Star Construction wants to talk to you. A heavy equipment operator with Traco or backhoe experience, All Star Construction wants to talk to you, too. With work in and around Edmonton for local land developers, All Star Construction offers year-round employment. Whether it's power, gas, or telecom, developers rely on All Star Construction to get the job done. So if you're a skilled laborer or a heavy equipment operator with Traco or backhoe experience searching for work, search All Star Construction on Indeed.
Everything is going to be okay. Any business, regardless of size, can stumble occasionally. I'm Dan McDicken, a licensed insolvency trustee with Favor. If your business faces financial challenges, our team of chartered insolvency and restructuring professionals have corporate debt recovery solutions that work. Schedule your free Faber Focus session at faber.ca today. Chances of a positive outcome increase if you engage Faber sooner rather than later.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is serious about cooling. In fact, we offer multiple ways to cool your home. So you better call Legacy. Call Legacy. If you're looking for traditional air conditioning, we got you. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. Or ask us about a heat pump to help you heat and cool. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. Cool with AC or cool with a heat pump. Cool your home with Legacy Heating and Cooling. For all
60 years, the folks at Diablo Boots have been selling the best Canadian-made boots. Handcrafted in Winnipeg, Canada West makes the best quality bike and work boots for Diablo Boots with replaceable soles and heels. Why buy cheaper quality like Ariat, Justin, and Red Wing made in China when Canadian made is better? Support Canada's workers and Diablo Boots for the best boots. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. Canada West and Diablo Boots, the two best names in the boots business.
Ford employee pricing is on now, and you pay what we pay on virtually our entire lineup of Ford vehicles. Visit your Alberta Ford store today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa. Need equipment on the job fast? Japa Equipment Rentals in Atchison has you covered. Excavators, wheel loaders, compaction equipment, and more, backed by expert service. Visit japamachinery.com.
The Jason Gregor Show with guest host Connor Halley. This is Sports 1440.
Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. You can also watch us on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and Twitch. A little choppy right now, but we're going to get that corrected in the next commercial break. We appreciate you guys bearing with us. You can watch it on Facebook, too. Lots of places if you want to go check it out. The show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, of course. Tomorrow night, Lotto Max, an estimated $10 million. And the Lotto 649 on Wednesday, $18 million gold ball jackpot. PlayAlberta.ca. Remember to use your game sense. Connor Halley, Duncan Kruger, Mackenzie McLennan with you here in the Sports 1440 studios. Lots to get to still on the show. We're going to talk some Denver Broncos. Look around the NHL. Spec will be by. We got Cam Tate's 2-minute warning. But right now, we're going to get to our big guest of the day, as we do every Monday here on the Jason Gregor Show. Brought to you by the Spruce Grove Saints. We're looking forward to opening night, September 18th, followed by a spectacular 2026-2027 season. Saints Hockey School runs from August 24th to the 28th, all ages, U9, U11, U13, and U16. Sign up today at sgsaints.ca as we bring in longtime CFLer, player, coach, Grey Cup champion, Rick Walters. Rick, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Hey, Connor, doing well. How are you? How are things?
Oh, doing good. Happy to be back chatting with you here, taking a look around the CFL and specifically in this segment, at least the Edmonton Elks, who picked up another win on Friday night. It was a great night down at all around. I think if you're a fan, you probably enjoyed the competitiveness and the comeback in the game. The weather was great. And then for the Edmonton Elks heading into their bye week on the winning side of things, even with wins from all the other Western Conference teams, they'll still be in first place when they come back. So that's pretty encouraging. I guess you'll start off. What were your takeaways from that game with the Elks win over Winnipeg?
Lots of great points of that game. Obviously, again, it's kind of funny. We've talked a little bit about a tale of two halves with how the teams are kind of going right now. That I think the first half offensive was a struggle. Lots of struggles on the first half. Didn't really have an answer to what Winnipeg was doing. Winnipeg plays a lot of match defense. Match defense is a little bit of a unique defense that you don't see all the time. You don't necessarily practice against it all the time. And really what all the match defense is you try to outnumber how many offensive players are kind of coming in. So if there are 3 receivers, then you try to have 4 defenders. Now that does mean you take from the box. By box, the guys over top within tackle to tackle. So you'll have to remove somebody from the box in order to outnumber sometimes in the number game. And then on the other side, so if you can imagine 3 receivers to the field, 2 to the boundary. So they'll take the Sam linebacker, the halfback in the corner, and then they'll probably add the free safety over top. So there'll be 4 defenders to your 3 offensive people. And then they kind of match up what that looks like. They'll play different coverages over that. Sometimes you'll have the corner down. Sometimes you'll have the half down. Sometimes it's corner high, half high. Sometimes the Sam linebacker will go high. All kinds of different combinations which you can get out of match. And then on the weak side, you'll have the half in the corner, and the will linebacker gets into your kind of match game. So he'll get into having 3 defenders versus your 2 offensive people. And again, you can play a few different ways and a few different coverages, whether the, half down, corner down, half high, corner high, whatever that looks like. Sometimes the will linebacker goes back high. But they do take from the box players in terms of what that looks like. So they're leaving the 4 down and the Mac, and then you kind of steal the will, sometimes out, sometimes in to play against the run. So I think offensively we struggled with what that looked like in the first half. We really did. Didn't have a whole lot of answers. I thought defensively, I thought we did a great job in terms of what that looks like, just holding on more than anything, because you put in a tough situation sometimes, but they held on for the half, and then halftime came, and I think the biggest thing that came right before half was that the Elks were able to score a touchdown right before half, and that was massive in terms of changing and flipping the momentum piece going into halftime.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I was kind of surprised that they did go for 2 there. It didn't work out. But like you said, just the knowing that we can make it down the field and drive. So, Rick, I wanted to ask you, because you've obviously played in the CFL for a long time. You coach as well. And the adjustments this team makes at half, like, I've been so impressed by it this season. I talked about it a lot, especially on defense. And in the second half, the defense allowed 24 yards, and they could not stop Radio Rivera in the first half. So I thought it was really incredible. But I want to get just kind of your perspective, maybe first as a player and then from a coach, because I've said it, I played high school football. I was concerned about getting oranges at halftime. This team just finds things that they have to clean up, and then they go out there and execute. So as a player, when you're walking off the field, you're down 16-6. You haven't done a whole lot. What are you hearing? What are you doing at halftime from the coaches?
I think as a player, you kind of internalize a little bit in terms of what happened in the first half, especially I'm guessing like the Elks, they've had a lot of success this first part of the season, and you're trying to figure out what are we missing? How have we not been able to capitalize on some of the things that they thought they're going to be doing? Typically, the day one of your week as a player, you'll get a scouting report, and on that scouting report, you'll identify tendencies. So on 1st and 10, they're going to play this off, defensively, and then offensively, they're going to show this look. And then, you go into 2nd and mid, they're going to do this, and defensively, they're going to give this look, give this front predominantly, and maybe this on the back end. And so you're kind of internalizing maybe within your group as to are they doing what you thought they were going to do? Now coaches are probably doing a similar thing, and they would go through and as the game first half is unwinding, you're seeing, are they attacking something that we didn't think they were going to attack? Are they coming in the consistent coverages? So when you look at analytics, and sometimes you're watching the TSN broadcast and guys are on the computers up top, basically that's what they're doing. They're just filling in the data as to how people are playing for the first half. Does it correlate? Is it the same as what we thought they were going to do? Is it what we were expecting them to do? Or is it completely different? Have they showed up today and they came up with a completely different game plan than what they've been showing for the last 3 or 4 weeks previously? Now, if it's the same, then you got to look at what your game plan was looking at and say, well, maybe our game plan was crappy and we came in with not what it's expected. Maybe players are losing battles. If it's different, now you got to look and see, how do we all of a sudden become successful what we're doing? You'll see play callers with their sheet, and they're crossing things out, erasing things. And all the coaches at halftime will come together and start saying, okay, well, they're consistent with what they're playing, but maybe they're showing a little bit more match on 1st and 10. Maybe coming in, it was 50% match, 50% cover one, just man-to-man, maybe, or it's some kind of, and maybe in the game, it's 60 or 70% match, and they're only showing cover one at 25%. So you start changing what your first down calls need to look like, and to try to take advantage of what you're seeing real time.
We're looking around, talking Elks here with Rick Walters, former CFLer, coach, Grey Cup champion here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley sitting in. And yeah, I mean, the second half is what they were able to do. Obviously, moving the ball downfield. Cody Fajardo gets the touchdown. They ran the ball a whole lot better. And then defensively, just to shut things down. With all the success that Winnipeg had, do you think the bye week was brought up at all? Going out on a good note before the bye?
I do for sure. I think defensively what they were able to do, and they've played 10 weeks is a long time to go without getting a bye. And so, there is the common phrase that kept coming on where, fatigue and what they look like. But what they were able to do defensively was they stopped the run. They started to blitz more. They started to engage more in the second half. You could see linebackers were run blitzing more into the second half, and they put them into second and long. Really, that's the big change that the coaches did from the first half to the second half was just more run blitzes on 1st and 10 to get them into second and long. And then they started to get after Claros a little bit as well. And you could see, a couple hits that he took. He got up slower. There wasn't the big run game. Brady didn't get off as much. And so defensively, it was like night and day, first half, second half, and it was all because they were getting up the field more. The linebackers were sitting at 4 or 5 yards. They're engaging in the backfield early. They're triggering right away. Now they, when that happens, sometimes you can get hit up on play actions, but the DBs were plastering well enough, and they did a great job in getting them off the field. Now, offensively, we can talk about a whole bunch of different things that they're doing. But the thing they did better than anything was they got the ball to Rankin. as I've kept saying numerous times, is that he is your number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th option in terms of what that looks like. And when you make a conservative effort to continually get him the ball, good things happen. And then others can kind of eat and figure out what's what they're getting later. But they made a conservative effort to get him the ball routinely. So that's really what changed it at halftime.
Yeah, I mean, the first half, they had 22 rushing yards. Obviously, he finishes with 93 on the game, and it's no secret. You and I know it. The offensive staff has to know it, get the ball in his hands, and you think good things should be happening. Earlier in the game, there was kind of a weird decision by Mike O'Shea, the challenge for the roughing the passer call. We were watching the press box, and we couldn't believe it. Like, if they had reversed that call and called that roughing the passer, I think I might have been done with football temporarily. It was crazy. What did you think when you saw that challenge flag thrown?
Yeah, and I think sometimes you have the challenges and you're going to lose them if you don't use them. So I think early in the game, sometimes you try and you try and figure one coming up, and those are the tough coaching decisions. Is especially if you use it early, maybe that does flip and change momentum. But yeah, that was one that it probably took the replay center all of one look to say, no, that's we're not going with that one today.
Yeah, thank God, because I was just like, man, that they can't call this. It would be absolutely crazy, and it would have been a huge overturn had it happened. Now, I wanted to ask you about wide receiver Austin Mack this year, because I was looking at the career statistics, and we know he burst onto the scene a few years ago with Montreal and kind of having a hard time staying on the field, but he's come as advertised. He's been fantastic this year, gets on the board with another touchdown. The rest of the guys stepping up. But what do you like from Austin Mack in his game, and just what he provides for Cody Fajardo?
He provides from the wide receiver perspective, somebody that you can count on, somebody who's going to be there, somebody, number one receivers are ones when you need a first down, they make that play. When it's second and 10, and you're throwing the ball to somebody, that they're going to be where they need to be, and they're going to make that play. They change 50-50 balls, make it more 75-25. So he's done a really good job of establishing the true number one. Now, I will say this, that there are struggles that I think everybody's kind of having offensively. One of the big ones, and again, Max getting a lot more targets, it would be, to me, drops and fumbles as well. There was a couple of weeks ago, you talked about ball security and the importance of. Now, as an offensive person, and we talked a lot about you are who you kind of identify who you are at practice. I would hope that, that the offensive staff and Jordan and Jason Tucker and all the offensive coaches have made that more of a priority, I think, going forward. I think that will be, kind of one of the Achilles heels for the teams. I think they had four fumbles last game. And that's something that the hard part about it is you start getting later into the season as it starts getting colder, turnover battles, win or lose games, and you don't want that to kind of come up when you're later in the season or in playoff time. So that would be one of the big ones that needs to be addressed like right away.
Did you notice more of an emphasis when the temperature started to get a little bit colder? Like just a reminder week to week, like, hey guys, ball security has to be a point of emphasis for us.
It's got to be drilled. It can't be just something that comes up in meetings. Obviously, as it gets colder, people change what that looks like. Hits become harder. The ground becomes harder. Everything's a little bit harder to do. Especially the Elks aren't an older team, but if you're an older team, it gets a little bit harder to loosen up and to get ready to play. So I just think it has to be something that continue. You don't practice as much as the year goes on. Your practice schedule kind of changes a little bit. You're more working on because you've done things for a while now. You get into a routine. It's a lot of mental reps. It's a lot of what the new next opponent is looking at, but you do have to routinely get back to what the fundamentals are asking you to do. And ball security has to be like both for and against. You hope the defense is working out, punching at the ball, stripping at the ball, trying to get the interceptions and things like that, strip sacks. So those are big emphasis, especially as you're getting into later in the year.
Rick Walters joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show, talking Elks and Bombers. We'll take a break here. When we come back, we'll look around the CFL. We'll talk some NFL as well. It is the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley sitting in here on Sports 1440, streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and Twitch. Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Car shopping sucks. That's right. Going back and forth 100 times just to get a price. Give me your credit card for a test drive. What's all these extra fees? That sounds ridiculous. At Northgate, we do things a little differently. Good deals on new, pre-owned vehicles, good people, and a great selection. And don't forget about our employee pricing. Stop in and see us today, 13215 97th Street, or visit us online at northgategm.com.
You're in Northgate country.
The Chicken Parmy Burger. Mick Extreme pulled pork, garlic and black pepper chicken McNuggets, cheesy bacon McFlavor fries, and the Stroop Waffle McFlurry. You've scrolled them. You've screenshotted them. You've never been able to order them until now. This is the McDonald's World Menu Heist. The most wanted menu items taken from around the world, now in Canada. Get them while you can. For a limited time only at participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
Love Pro Wrestling. It's the only place you'll find lumberjacks, short kings, mad lads, and a high-flying goose. LPW 51 hits the Rec Room South Edmonton Common Friday, August 28th. After a shocking betrayal at LPW 50, Marsh the Specialist challenges Ty Jackson for the LPW Grand Championship. Plus, Rich King and lumberjack Larry Woods settled their rivalry with a last man standing match. Whether it's a family outing, date night, or drinks with friends, check out Edmonton's wildest party at Love Pro Wrestling. TixR.com/Love Wrestling. Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at ewell.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
It might have been scraped by the snowblower, dented while door crashing, or crunched at the company Christmas party. At some point over the winter, your car was damaged, and it's been hiding under a coat of winter grime.
Then come and see Robertson Body Works. We can take care of the damage and the dirt. This week only, call and book a repair and get a complete auto detailing absolutely free.
But you have to book your appointment before the week is up. Go to robertsonbodyworks.com.
I'm Tim Robertson, and I fix cars.
I missed one payment, then another. Now I feel behind on everything. I can't keep up.
Falling behind happens to more people than you think, but there is a solution. My name is Parveen Middleton. I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. Together, We can create a plan that fits your situation and helps you get caught up and back in control. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to book your free consultation and discover your debt-free future.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Sherbrooke Liquor, the best place for wine, cocktails, and beers from all over the world, plus variety of excellent non-alcoholic options. See more at SherbrookeLiquor.com.
The Jason Gregor Show with guest host Connor Halley. This is Sports 1440.
Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.323, welcome back to the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Tomorrow's Lotto Max, an estimated $10 million. You can get your ticket at PlayAlberta.ca. Connor Halley, Duncan Kruger, Mackenzie McClendon with you here. Our text line is 1-833-401-1440. If you got any questions for our guest, longtime CFLer, player, and coach Rick Walters, Grey Cup champion, joining us. Rick, so let's just, I want to ask you this because with the Edmonton Elks, obviously it was an incredible run. 10 games played, but without a bye. They're on the bye week now, well-deserved, feeling good, I would assume. A chance to get the bodies right a little bit here. For you, in your experience playing in Edmonton, what was kind of the bye week plans for a lot of guys? Do you stay in town, go back home? What do you think guys will be doing?
It all depends. A lot of the American guys might decide to go back home for a little bit, see some of the family and friends who aren't here in town. The ones that are here and are around, they might get out, go golf a little bit, just kind of be at home with families, kind of just refresh and don't do a whole lot, in all honesty. I know as a coach, you're always a little bit worried about bye weeks, especially when you're rolling like they've kind of been rolling. You want the freshness and the ability to rejuvenate your body, but at the same time, you never know what happens when somebody goes home, and you're always a little bit worried about that, worried about what they're doing for their bye. Is anybody going to get in trouble during the week? And so it's a little bit of a catch-22 where you need the bye, it has to come, but you don't really need the bye and you don't really want it to come.
Make smart decisions. See you guys in a week, right?
Yeah,
around the CFL and Elks bye week. One of the big stories today for a team we probably wouldn't be talking too much about with the Ottawa Redblacks, but Jim Popp going back, obviously a long history in the CFL. He's joining the Ottawa organization as a senior football advisor. Things have gone wrong on almost every level for this organization so far this season. What do you think of this move to bring Popp in?
Jim Popp's a good football mind for sure. He helped build the Baltimore franchise when it first started, and he was part of obviously Montreal for all those years. You kind of synonymous with him and Coach Matthews, and so good football mind, understands the game. You always hate it as an organization if I'm part of the fan base that you're bringing in special advisors partway through because somewhere something has gone wrong, and clearly something has gone wrong in Ottawa. But if you look at their roster, I'd say their roster is top to bottom, probably the weakest in the league. They don't have special players on that roster. I think if you were to rank the quarterbacks, Jake Mayer is probably your number 9. In all honesty, he might be able to throw some stats, but some of the stats are because their team is always behind, and so they're forced to throw a little bit more. So it's really how they're constructed. They're constructed in a way that I don't necessarily think that everybody would look at. And by constructed, I mean the ratio and how you're assigning players or how you're moving players in terms of what that looks like. And so I think he'll be able to help with some ideas and opinions. It's just always unfortunate when it happens partway through the season.
What do you think of the idea of having a head coach and general manager, as the same person? We saw it in Edmonton for a while here with Chris Jones, and it just seemed like a lot of work. And, one of these jobs is a crazy amount of work. To do them both just seems tough. And it seems like Ryan Dinwiddie having some struggles there.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I think if you were to look through the history of football, there's very few people who can do both jobs well. Names come to mind is maybe like a Wally Buono. That other than that, I'm kind of struggling to find others. So it's to your point, it's not an easy job to be able to go out and identify players, and especially great players, and be able to coordinate your scouting staff to be able to bring in players that are going to be, ones that fit into your scheme, and then coordinate what you need to do as a head coach. It's two dichotomies in terms of what your role or responsibility is supposed to be. And then I think one of the things that happens a lot of times when you have a coach that does both is that a lot of times the coach wins over the GM hat, and the coach brings in guys that maybe the GM wouldn't bring in. And so there does need to be sometimes a strong differentiation between the two of those. So it doesn't happen too often, and you can kind of see why.
Yeah, Bill Belichick down south came to mind, but they built that up where everything was so smooth with that organization. But it almost seems kind of like a arrogant thing to think you can do both when one profession is as hard as it is. So not surprising.
And people have talked about Belichick and his ability to do both. However, if he doesn't have Brady doing and being that figurehead on the offensive side and the player side, is he as strong as a head coach? If he did, it's that whole player or coach, what's more important? And so he had lots of misses as a GM, but Brady kind of covered up a lot of those misses.
Yeah, totally. You cannot underestimate what Tom Brady did, holding the bar very high for that offense.
Yeah, 100%.
So we look around this week in the CFL, Winnipeg and Montreal to kick things off on Friday night. You've got Calgary and Hamilton, Saskatchewan, Toronto, and as we talked about, BC taking on Ottawa. I think, outside of that game on Friday with Montreal and Winnipeg, lining up nicely for these Western Conference teams that are trying to keep up with the Elks.
Yeah, I think everybody's looking at which is crazy for me to even be saying right now, is that everybody's looking up at the Elks right now, and we're in a good situation. The one you worry a little bit about, and you see they're getting hotter and hotter, is BC. They're starting to play some really good football. They were 1-5, and now they're 5-5. Having Rourke back, and he's doing a great job of spreading out the ball around, and they're kind of clicking on all cylinders right now. And probably more impressive for them has been their defense. They were terrible early, and Benavidez, as a DC, was, there were clamors for him to be fired early in the season, but he's done a really, really good job. He's more of a complicated system. People need to start to understand what he's looking for, and he's done a good job over the last 3-4 weeks of the younger guys starting to figure out what he's expecting. So that's the team I'd be, a little bit worried about as you continue to go forward. They look like they're going on all cylinders. Saskatchewan's kind of taken a step back a little bit. The injuries have kind of ravaged them a little bit, and so they're not as operating in terms of what that looks like. And you see that, whether it's Harris and Trevor does a good job of getting the ball off quickly, but if you don't have the same complement of receivers, then it's a little bit harder if guys aren't getting open as quick. So, and then Calgary, I think, is trying to figure out where they're going to fit in this whole kind of thing. You hope that they get banged up a little bit and that they're a little bit tired going into Labor Day, but and so the Elks can kind of keep rolling. But I think it looks good for Edmonton on lots of fronts right now.
Rick Walters, a longtime player and coach in the Canadian Football League, Grey Cup champion, joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. And, you brought up Nathan Rourke there, and he's been kind of interesting this year. We know how good he can be, but there was the injury mixed in there as well. Where do you rank him amongst the quarterbacks in the CFL, like when healthy? Because Davis Alexander's been fantastic. When healthy, Bo Levi Mitchell the last couple of years has been ridiculous. So just want to ask you, where does Nathan Rourke slot in?
I think he's 1-2. I think Davis Alexander's done an amazing job. his offensive coaches, Jason and Anthony Cavillo, they do a great job putting him in situations to make plays. He throws at a high percentage. He throws a lot of screens. And so that helps with your completion percentage. But then he's athletic enough to move around in the pocket and does a great job of finding receivers downfield. They got a great scheme, and he does a good job with that. But you can see the Rourke's starting to hit his stride in terms of what that looks like. He's got both guys have all the arm talent in the world. And so they can make all the throws. They can make the deep out, the corner routes to go. And at the same time, they have enough touch to hit the dig routes and the out routes or the bubble screens. So I would, if you're ranking them, I'll put Davis and Rourke 1, 2, whichever way you kind of want to put them.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably pretty fair here. And then the rest of the guys, I think there's guys you can win with. Obviously, we've seen with Cody Fajardo here, and guys around the league getting the job done. Trevor Harris out in Saskatchewan has looked pretty good as well. As we're looking around the CFL with Rick Walters, a long-time CFLer, obviously coach as well. And I want to ask you, when you just look at Mark Killam this year, going back, bringing it back to Edmonton, and JC shared, obviously, we've seen some steps, some growth in what they've done as coaches. So I want to ask you, what has impressed you the most from the head coach Mark Killam in Edmonton this season?
I think what's impressed me the most about Coach Killam is maybe been his demeanor more than anything. His first year seemed a lot of highs were high and the lows maybe not as low. He's still a fiery coach, but his demeanor looks much more composed, I guess, on the sideline. Like you could see that he's thinking the play ahead, which you kind of have to do as the head coach. And he's got a good grasp of what he's trying to do. Obviously, he's still young in the head coach game and from a CFL perspective, and you're still going to make mistakes. But I'd say his demeanor has absolutely changed. As far as the coordinators go, I think, if they had a coordinator award or whatever that looks like, JC would win it for sure. Like the defense has been a complete turnaround from what it was last year. And they started to get better and better throughout the season as well. But this year they've done a really, really good job of taking away what people do the best and making people do offensively what they don't want to do. For teams like Toronto that love to throw the ball, they've taken away a pass and dared them to run, and a little bit like Winnipeg as well. They take the run away and force them to have to pass. And so I think JC's done a great job. And then Jordan on the offensive side, it's a tough mix, and everybody, again, armchair quarterbacks. He's done a good job and gotten better and better in terms of how they can utilize Rankin. You can see he's starting to get more touches as a receiver. If people want to load the box, okay, great. We'll split him out. We can bring slots in to help protect, and we can run Rankin against whether it's the Will or Mac. I think he wins both of those. So I think you can see continual growth in terms of how this offensive package is starting to kind of come out. It might not be something that you started the year saying, okay, we're going to look like this offensively, but you can see that they're growing each week with what they're asking the players to do.
Did you like what you saw from the running game, just not in terms of quantity of attempts, but just quality as well?
Well, they've turned. It's interesting that you asked that, because they've turned from like a inside zone power running double tight team, which they still have lots of, but you can see that their best, I would say right now, their best run play is the toss. They get Rankin on tosses and things like that. So it's a quarterback opening up and actually physically tossing the ball, so it leaves his hand. And usually when you have a toss, you have to pin. It's a kind of a pin and pull scheme. So you pin one of the ends with either a slot receiver or a fullback, and then you get the guard and tackle or the tackle and center around onto DBs. Now the problem with that scheme, especially if it's your main scheme, is you want to offensively you want to kind of have a collection of plays that kind of add to each other and play off of each other. And toss is a hard one, though, because it's physically the ball leaves a quarterback's hands when you toss it. And so it's hard to then complement it with other type plays, because there's very few plays where where the ball is leaving a quarterback's hand, that it's not a toss. And so it's just a hard component to then complement it with other things. So I'll be interested to see how they continue to complement toss, because it's clearly the best run piece. They've started to do more counters as well, whether it's two guys pulling, two linemen pulling, or one lineman and either a slot or fullback pulling. And then those are their two best run schemes right now. It's not inside zone, it's not outside zone. It's either toss or counter. So one of the things to look for going forward is how can they complement those two runs with things off of that.
Rick Walters joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. And Rick, just before we get to break here, I want to bring it back to Coach Killam. We know the football world is very connected, and you hear things. He joined the Stampeders back in 2005 as a strength and conditioning coach. Was there as an assistant, linebackers coach, special teams coordinator, then eventually assistant head coach. Were you surprised it took as long as it did for him to get that head coaching job? Because we heard it from players. Like, players were happy for the guy. Like, about time he gets this gig.
Yeah, no, you can tell he's a player's coach. I think the players respect him. Lots of times when you look at coaches, the ones that talk to the full component or contingent of players are always the head coach and the special teams coach. And really those are the only two. Like the offensive and defensive coordinators have their own little specific ones. Specific position coaches have their own specific ones, but it's only the head coach and the special teams coordinators. And so typically, if you've looked, guys who've coached special teams tend to move up to head coaches. Sometimes you think of Harbaugh in the States with now with obviously with the Giants, and then you think O'Shea in Edmonton, or not in Edmonton, in Winnipeg. Obviously, Killam's here as well. There's been a lot of special teams coordinators that do a good job of connecting with multiple people on your roster. And when you're a special teams coach, you have to be able to do that. You're working with lots of different units. And so personality wise, you got to be able to figure out the DBs, who are unique people of their own, the receivers. You got to figure out how you're going to work with the linebackers and the O-linemen. And as a head coach, you kind of have the similar responsibilities. It's around connection and relationships. And if you can figure out how to work that together, then you can galvanize a team and they're ready to run through a wall for you.
Yeah, I mean, you see it. The Elks doing a great job. The social media team releasing the videos afterwards, his post-game speeches, and they're fantastic stuff. And you can tell he's building something there for sure. Rick, we'll take our final break here. When we come back, talk some NFL football as well. It is the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley sitting in here on Sports 1440, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Tap into the fun of Play Alberta's most popular casino games. From the fast-paced spins of Cash Eruption to the retro thrills of Sevens Wild, online excitement is always at your fingertips. Spin through your choice of popular slots or discover Alberta-exclusive games you won't find anywhere else. Visit playalberta.ca/Gregor to learn more. That's playalberta.ca/Gregor. Must be 18 plus to play. If you gamble, use your game sense.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Oodle Noodle origins. In 1864, Francis Oodle took over his dying father's business as a leatherman. He was quite proficient, but his heart was never truly in the trade. After his father's death, Oodle met a cocksure young man named Vladimir Nudel, who was a trailblazer in the popular new art of food boxes. They formed a partnership and aimed to ply their trade in the New World. At Ellis Island, Nudel was renamed David Noodle, and henceforth, the franchise has been known as Oodle Noodle.
Tee up for a great day on the course and support the Stony Plain Eagles Senior Men's Hockey Club. It's the Stony Plain Eagles Golf Tournament. Gather your foursome and join the Eagles August 25th at the Links at Spruce Grove for a 2 p.m. shotgun start. Enjoy a fantastic afternoon of golf, great company, and friendly competition, all while supporting the Stony Plain Eagles. Get all the details and register today at stonyplaineagles.com.
Mr. Rooter cries like a little tiny baby child.
Hey, Mr. Rooter, you've got a package from Mrs. Rooter.
Aw, the card says, "Thank you for our unbreakable bond. You're the Pro Press fitting to my copper pipe."
Ooh, what's in the package, Mr. Rooter?
Let's see. It's a Plumbus 2000 spud wrench. She knew I'd never buy one for myself.
Just like tears. It's blowing or it's free with Mr. Rooter.
I love that woman.
Need an excuse to upgrade your ride? Well, we got a few to share. Go Auto has over 18,000 new and used vehicles ready to test drive right now. With more than 70 locations, your perfect match could be closer than you think. A family-friendly SUV for soccer practice, a fuel-sipping commuter, or a hard-working truck that's ready for anything. Trusted brands and a team that's actually happy to help. Explore thousands of vehicles today at goauto.ca.
Does your bank do local? We do. When you bank with Vision Credit Union, you're banking with a rural Albertan cooperative that cares about the community where you live. There's no question. We actively support our rural communities at the local level through charitable donations, volunteerism, local team and event sponsorships, and by returning millions in profit shares to our members every year. Does your bank do that? We do local. Bank with Vision Credit Union. VisionCU.ca.
Missioner Island Auctioneering's Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg Public Unreserved Equipment Auction is this Friday at 9 a.m. featuring articulated dump trucks, backhoes, dozer, excavators, forklifts, graders, loaders, man lifts, packers, skid steers, telehandlers, turf mowers, plus commercial trailers. Info at maauctions.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Try Papa John's new medium pan pizza with crispy Parmesan and Romano crust topped with Italian seasoning. Only $16.99 for a limited time and only at papajohns.ca or on the Papa John's app.
The Jason Gregor Show with guest host Connor Halley. This is Sports 1440.
Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
On Sports 1440, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Tomorrow night's Lotto Max, an estimated $10 million. You can also check out the Gregor Show specials. PlayAlberta.ca. Remember to use your game sense, as we are fortunate to have Rick Walters hanging around for another segment. Rick, again, thank you for doing this today, as we will turn our attention down south and look at the NFL here. And we were chatting a little bit beforehand, things we got to get to on this show. And one of the debates that I feel like is timeless year in, year out, there's always that discussion of starting a rookie quarterback immediately versus letting him sit on the bench for a little while. And the Vegas Raiders, the latest team to kind of face that conundrum. Now they go out there and they sign vet Kirk Cousins, who seems like a guy who could play for as long or as little as you need him. But when you look at this discussion, CFL, NFL, young quarterbacks, and obviously it's going to maybe vary kind of situation to situation, but what do you think of the prep versus throwing them right out there kind of facing the fire?
I think you're right. That is the age-old debate as to when is the right time to get a young quarterback into the game, especially the quarterback position. I think there's lots of sports that talk about what is the hardest position to play, whether it's goalie in hockey, whether it's the quarterback in football, maybe a reliever in baseball. For me, it's that quarterback in football. There's so many things that are happening, and you have to be able to functionally within your mind be able to selectively piece out what is, for example, you see somebody throw a ball into some kind of coverage. Maybe it's a hold coverage, so the halfback down, corner high, and they're trying to throw a skinny post and the free safety's coming over the top. And depending on what your arm talent is, you think it's a good throw. Depending on what the coach is who the coach is, you're like, oh no, that's a terrible throw. And I think it is that push, pull, fight kind of thing that happens all the time on every play for young quarterbacks. On every play, they're trying to, not only are they trying to get out what the play call is and how the offensive coordinator or head coach want you to communicate the play call to the other players. And it can go from anywhere from a one-word tag, which which we'll have to talk about in a different segment. But from a one-word tag to something that takes like 40 seconds for you to spit out. It's some of the West Coast offenses that are, whether in Canada or in the States, they have a tag where the quarterback is instructing each position what they're trying to do or should be doing. And so those play calls are coming out, and it's taking like 20, almost 30 seconds to get that. And you have to get it all right, or else if one's wrong, then all of a sudden somebody's running the wrong kind of concept. So between getting a play out, understanding what the play needs to be, getting yourself and being able to protect yourself, which is often the hardest thing, getting yourself into the right protection, understanding what kind of blitzes could come at you, whether it's a zone blitz team, whether it's a pressure look from just linebackers, whether it's outside pressure from maybe the halfback or corners, to getting yourself protected. And then the tough part of being able to throw a ball into a window and deciding whether it's cap space. By cap space, I mean that somebody, or leverage of the defenders, or somebody is taking you off of that read, to deciding, okay, my arm talent can get me into that space with touch, velocity, in terms of what that looks like. So the duality of figuring out when and if somebody's ready is, I think, one of the hardest things in professional sports.
Yeah, and you know what? I was looking at the Raiders' schedule this year, and we've been fortunate to have a few Raiders guests join us on this show. And there's a point in the season where it gets really tough for them. Placing, they would have, it is the Chargers, then the Saints, then you have the Chiefs, Patriots, Bills, Rams, Jets, Niners, Seahawks, Broncos defenses. I don't know if I want to subject Fernando Mendoza to face those guys. Like, if I can, I'm like, Cousins, you roll out this year, Mendoza come back next year, and we build this offensive line a little.
Yeah, and what Cousins is going to be able to do, he's going to be able to get them in and out of plays. He's going to be able to protect himself. His arm talent is nowhere near as strong as Mendoza's, but he's going to function well enough to get them by. And, and I think they have relatively good talent around them. So if they can protect them, then, they'll be functional. Whereas Mendoza, he's got all kinds of talent and intangibles. I just don't know if the other stuff he'll be ready to do yet.
Yeah, and I mean, you sent me those statistics from 3 Down Nation. Like, Trevor Harris had under 2.5 seconds. I think Aaron Rodgers had the shortest time to throw last year at 2.5 seconds. It's a lot to process quickly. So yeah, I don't know if I'd be rushing.
It is, and it's that, when do guys like quarterbacks start to understand and then still have the arm talent and an ability? Obviously, the quarterback has pushed their boundaries, guys like Aaron Rodgers, where they can play older and older, but you can see even his arm talent, his escapability, it's diminishing as he gets older. So that there was a time when all those married at the same time, when his mind had caught up to his arm talent and his ability to diagnose plays, and that's the years when he was the MVP of the league. But now you can see it's kind of on the decline. He's probably still smart as all get up and understands coverage and understands that, but his arm and his mobility has changed.
Rick Walters joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show, taking a look around the world of football. We'll stay down south, and one of the more interesting topics is for me, because I look at this Browns team, Rick, and I like what they've done. Like, I like their running backs they drafted last year. I like the receivers they drafted this year. They're trying to build up that offensive line, but there's reports out there that Deshaun Watson will be QB1 when they start this season. Last year they drafted Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. Watson on that massive, fully guaranteed deal. But he is the last year of his contract, and I don't know, how things go, if he'd even want to return. Kind of seems like to me that you might give the young guys an opportunity. But what were your thoughts on hearing that Deshaun Watson likely going to be quarterback one, week 1?
I wasn't too surprised, because it kind of played out that throughout the preseason. Deshaun went in as QB1, game 1. I thought after game 2, maybe Shedeur had done enough to maybe forego that decision. But, most coaches are going to want to get that out of the way as to who's going to be QB1. Kind of like what I said, Shedeur's done a better job of getting in and out of the huddle, probably diagnosing plays, protecting himself, getting into better protections. But you can see even even in the game, the last game that they played, he had a throw that was just a little bit behind the tight end coming across the middle, which led to the interception. And so accuracy is part of that equation as well. I don't know if my choice would have been Deshaun Watson, but clearly, I think Shador is making a push. But you look at guys like Love, Rodgers, some of the Brock Purdy, some of the guys that have been playing and are playing at a high level. Those are guys who have sat for 2-3 years before they became starters. And so he sat year one. Maybe he sits a half a year, or maybe he continues to get reps for even all of this season. And then next year or partway through this year, he's able to function all of those nuances that it takes to play the quarterback position and do them all at a high level. And that's when he steps in and plays.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting too. Like, we just had Kevin Woodley on, a hockey goalie guy, and talks about how development's not linear, and we've seen that all sorts of guys taking different routes. Dave Canales benched Bryce Young, right, for a couple of weeks there. So these things we never really know how it's going to play out, but I am intrigued by it. Outside, looking at the NFL here, who are some of your favorite quarterbacks to watch in the NFL?
Well, definitely Brady. Just the way he operated. If you're talking historically, Brady, Montana, just the way they operated in the pocket, the way they were able to think their way through games, I thought was really, really impressive. I think everybody liked to watch Michael Vick play and to see the things that he was able to do on a Sunday. Donovan McNabb kind of comes in that same kind of realm in terms of what that looks like. But I would say hands down, it was just to see how Brady operated around the confines that he had was really, really impressive.
How about modern day? I mean, like, I'll say, I don't necessarily watch every game, but if I can watch Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, to me, those guys are must watch. Even Joe Burrow, when he's healthy with that offense, it's a ton of fun. Anyone stand out to you?
Yeah, those three are excellent, but I can't believe you didn't name Patrick. So Mahomes is probably, I know everybody kind of goes, but he's kind of been the closest thing to Tom Brady. And those guys all, whether it's Allen, whether it's Lamar, they all have splash plays, as does Mahomes, but he kind of just wins games. And I would say he's won games with not necessarily talented receivers around. Like, he's had Kelsey for all these years, but he's slowing down. And I don't think he's ever had a true number one blue chip wide receiver. And so he's still done a really good job being able to make plays in terms, even without that.
See, I would agree with you. I feel like the production has dropped off a little bit. He hasn't done it with that number one receiver. But I'm a Chargers fan, so I've seen him beat my team up for the last few years. So I don't necessarily enjoy watching him for that reason only. But yeah, I mean, he was absolutely incredible. He and Andy Reid with Tyreek Hill, I think that was.
Yeah, I don't even, and I think Hill was awesome. But was he a number one? Was he like a true? Because he was. I think he was like a 4th or 5th round draft pick.
He was, but I think there was other reasons for that. I think he had some off-field issues that was limiting him from that time. If I look here quickly, he wasn't first-team All-Pro in 2016, 2018, 2020. So he had some time there where he was pretty
for sure.
For sure, a huge threat. And I think he's still a free agent right now. Broke his leg last year, and teams are always waiting to see what he can do when he gets out there. But yeah,
he'll end up with the Chiefs, and then we can have a debate all over again.
Yeah, can you run in a straight line downfield? We'll find a way to make it work. Mahomes will buy 8 seconds of time for you to get open because, he can still do that. That's one of the things that I think was so incredible about Mahomes was he could run. He didn't utilize it all the time, but if there was like 3rd and 12, he would get you just 12 and a half yards. Like, he just effortless, get the first down, keep it rolling. Rick, thanks so much for doing this today. Appreciate it as always, and we'll talk to you next week when Jason returns.
All right. Sounds good, Connor. Thanks, man. Have a great week.
You as well. There you go. Long-time CFLer, also a head coach, Grey Cup champion with the Edmonton Elks as well. Great to have him on the show. Brings a lot of knowledge, obviously not just the CFL, but the NFL as well. Last week we were talking flag football, as the Canadian and American men's and women's team both qualifying for the Olympics in 2028 down in Los Angeles. And he'll be back to join us next week as well as we look ahead to the Labor Day Classic the following Monday down in Calgary. Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, Mackenzie McLennan, intern Connor, Cam Tate with you here in the Sports 1440 studios. Coming up next, we'll get to the round table. We're going to talk some hockey with Dennis Bernstein of the fourth period. We've got 5 questions. Spec, Susie Warden going to join us, take a look at the Denver Broncos, and Cam Tate's 2-minute warning. So don't go anywhere. Keep it locked here on Sports 1440. Right now, we will take a break and get to an update with Declan Kruger, brought to you by Hire Good. We solve real problems for businesses while creating real impact. We reduce issues on your property, keep spaces safe, and take pressure off your team. Go to hiregood.ca. Hire Good. Stable jobs create stable lives.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
MLB action will get going today at 4:40 with the Red Sox and the Marlins, as well as the Rays and the Tigers. Rocky and Nats closely following at 4:45. And the late games today in the league will see the Pirates and Padres, as well as the Reds and the Giants. WNBA action gets going at 6 with the Valkyries and the Lynx. The Atlanta Dream and the LA Sparks, the late game in the WNBA at 8 o'clock. News from around the sporting world in the NFL news cycle. Deshaun Watson has been named the Browns' starting quarterback ahead of Shedeur Sanders, and Jed York, owner of the San Francisco 49ers, arrested in a prostitution case in Ohio. Elsewhere in the sporting world, Kiana Williams has signed a 7-day extreme hardship contract with the Toronto Tempo, and Zach Claro's dressed but not active at Winnipeg Blue Bombers practice today. I'm Declan Kruger. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440. Stingray radio station. CHJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
The Chicken Parmy Burger. Make extreme pulled pork, garlic and black pepper chicken McNuggets, cheesy bacon McFlavor fries, and the Stroop Waffle McFlurry. You've scrolled them. You've screenshotted them. You've never been able to order them until now. This is the McDonald's World Menu Heist. The most wanted menu items taken from around the world, now in Canada. Get them while you can. For a limited time only at participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
Albertans love to debate the best way to enjoy summer sports.
No. Playing on the field is the best, man.
No way. Watching from the sidelines, way more relaxing.
You're both crazy. Checking out the game from the bro zone is where it's at.
But there's one thing every sports fan agrees on.
Wilhauk beef jerky.
Wherever you catch the action, load up on Alberta's best beef jerky.
Wilhauk beef jerky. Because you can't have summer fun with salad. Only available in Leduc.
No fluff, no fillers, just pure entertainment. Sports 1440 brings the heat with bold opinions, big personalities, and Edmonton's fiercest fans. This is your turf. This is Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440.
Are you a skilled laborer? All Star Construction wants to talk to you. A heavy equipment operator with Traco or backhoe experience, All Star Construction wants to talk to you, too. With work in and around Edmonton for local land developers, All Star Construction offers year-round employment. Whether it's power, gas, or telecom, developers rely on All Star Construction to get the job done. So if you're a skilled laborer or a heavy equipment operator with Traco or backhoe experience searching for work, search All Star Construction on Indeed.
1 in 3 Canadians aren't getting enough sleep. Let the Brick help you sleep better for less. Save 40% on the Sealy Crown Jewel Resort mattress. Get cheap starting at just $49. And buy 1 pillow, get the second one for just $10. Plus, take up to 55 months to pay with no interest and no money down. And with next day delivery in Edmonton, you can start sleeping better right away. Some conditions apply. OAC. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Employee pricing is back at Nisku Ford. Pay the same as Ford Motor Company employees. Plus, get the benefits of being a Nisku Ford customer. You'll have the best selection of new Ford vehicles from our great lineup of SUVs, from Bronco Sports and Explorers right up to the Ford Expedition, and Ford trucks from the Ford Maverick, Ranger, F-150, and Super Duty. Ford employee pricing is the biggest event on the Nisku Ford calendar. But hurry, it won't last forever, and inventory is limited. Take advantage of employee pricing today at Nisku Ford. Above expectations.
Portions of this hour are brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. From weekend warriors to professional athletes, kids playing soccer to grandparents in the garden, rotator cuff tears and tendonitis to post-surgical knees and hips. We fix your body. Life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
The Jason Gregor Show with guest host Connor Halley. This is Sports 1440.
Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Jason Gregor Show, Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, Mackenzie McClendon, Cam Tate here as well. Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, Lotto Max. Tomorrow night, 10 million. On Wednesday, the Lotto 649, Gold Ball Jackpot, 18 million. You can also daily go to our picks, the Jason Gregor Show specials, boosted as always. Text line is 1-833-401-1440. Thank you guys for joining us on this show today. Big thank you again to a longtime CFL, Rick Walters. Joins us every Monday on this show to recap the weekend in the CFL and preview the storylines and also talk some NFL to boot. Right now, we're going to get to the roundtable with Deck and Mackenzie. This brought to you by Go Auto, who's donated more than $27.2 million to local charities and takes pride in supporting the communities where they live and do business. GoAuto.ca. We open up the mics and hand things over to either Declan or Mackenzie.
All right.
Mackenzie's going to go
I'll
first.
Start.
Ladies first.
I guess
as they
I should
say.
just know that it's me every time.
Mhm.
All right. Mine today is Inez Cantor. You're making a fool of yourself and just making an issue that is very prevalent in the WNBA about you. And the last thing the league needs is not more, but men getting involved, unfortunately, in my opinion. And we shouldn't be talking about Inez Cantor and his antics sideline because Caitlin Clark had another stellar performance. She had 37 points and 10 assists, so a double-double. And nobody's talking about that. They're all just concerned about him.
But you said that what's very prevalent in the WNBA?
Like, I don't want to get super political here, but all of the
You just mean like the narrative surrounding it?
yes. Yeah, and he's making it about himself by
Yeah.
getting involved.
Kind of the tale of his post-playing career.
Yeah. So we as like consumers of media shouldn't be giving him the time of day. But of course he's going to get it. But really we should be focusing on the women in this game.
I'll hop in. Yeah, I mean, he's a joke is what he is. This is absolutely pathetic by him. He knew what he was doing by going to this game, sitting courtside. He was trying to make a spectacle, and that's what he's doing. He's taking a thing that is not a problem, has never been. There's never been a transgender woman to play in the WNBA. There's never been one who's tried. I think if there was, I think the league would probably step in and do something, which he claims that he's trying to help out with. But he's just making a joke of the whole thing. He went to this game with a purpose. He got called out on it. And I think it's absolutely lame that he's doing this. I saw people, protesting both sides of this. And the people that are on his side can't name 5 WNBA players. Like, they're not there for the sport. They're not there to protect women. They're there to make a spectacle of it. So, yeah, I think it's absolutely lame behavior by him. I know his Instagram's made over $100 million, but if you go to his website, he has a donate now. Like, you need that. The shirt he was wearing, I fully expect him to try to sell that. Try to make more money. Right-wing grifter. Is that they call him right now? No, I think it's... I think what he's doing is lame, and I think he's just trying to make a big deal out of nothing. It's like me going out there and trying to make money and say, oh, there's a tsunami could hit Edmonton. I got to sell you tsunami protection. Never happened. Never will happen. But that's my thoughts on it. I think it's incredibly lame. I know we don't want to bring more attention to it, but it was everywhere on social media. Yeah. This guy's just taking it from every angle, every form. Players just calling him out on it. It's just an attempt to stay relevant.
Well, also really quickly from the player standpoint as well, how are you supposed to sit there and play while this guy is making a spectacle on the sideline as well? Like, the girls or the women that like called him out, I also would have had a hard time focusing on the game when this guy is shouting things on the sideline. Like, there's only so much that like these people can take and like hear from people on the outside that I probably would have lost it as well.
I don't really buy into that one as much.
No?
Well, only because like the NBA, they also always have people sitting there on the sideline like yelling at them about something. If you're in Utah, it's probably racist. Like that. I don't like to be upset about someone like getting involved and yelling from this. I don't buy that as much. Like obviously the content is kind of different there, but even still, like in the NBA, like I said, like how many times you hear people talking about playing in Boston getting called like racist slurs or something like that? It's like that to me is a little bit more like I'm not really worried about the players' ability to focus. Like that comes with the territory of being a pro athlete. Like I think that is just part of the game. You have to live with that. But yeah, like obviously the content is, or the message is different. So.
Day one Dave said WFA brought this on themselves. That's what he spoke. They can't define what W means in their name. And I'll reply, like, listen, he might force this change. He might make this happen. But it's never been a problem. He's made a change that has never impacted the league. So, cool. Good for you, buddy. Good for you. This is going to be your legacy now. Deck, what do you got?
Okay. Chess is the activity, game, whatever you do in your life that has the biggest skill gap between someone who's elite and the average person. I think golf would be a close second. I think there's an argument for either of them. I say it's chess.
Sorry, I'm just thinking. Because golf is a mental game too. It's mental and physical. But I guess chess is all logic and skill. I guess golf is also logic and skill as well. So I don't know. I'm bad at both. So I'm not very strong mentally, physically, or logically. Unfortunately.
I would mean it's such a complex game, right? Like there's so many intricacies of chess tech. Don't get me wrong. I think that if you are bad at it, you'd be very bad at it. Like someone like me playing you would probably crush us. Magnus was it on this day in 2023? He won some sort of big event.
He wins a lot, so it wouldn't surprise me.
It was a big one. But then that being said,
what did he win on this?
World Cup chess. I don't know. It was something. But that being said, like he could be so much better than I am, but I'm still walking away. You put me on like a football field with someone, I'm not walking away. I'm not getting up. They're probably killing me. So you could be right. Hard to really measure it exactly. But I think it'd be interesting for sure. Like you probably played people who are not good at chess, right? And you
Yeah,
can
but
figure
like, I don't know. Like I think my thing is like if you played Magnus in a million games of chess, you wouldn't win. None of us would win one.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we run a million routes against like Pat Sertan, he might fall down and snap his knee on one of them. Like that would never happen. Like in a chess game, you're not gonna just like your brain is gonna explode out of your ears.
I could have a brain aneurysm.
Okay, well, so okay. Check mark one for football. So could Pat Sertan. Like, I just think it's the one thing where there's like you would have no chance ever against like a super grandmaster in a chess match. And similarly, I do think like I'll like speak for myself specifically. I would have no chance against Scotty Scheffler if I played him in a million holes of golf. Like no way. I don't want to speak for like the average like someone who goes out there and shoots 70s regularly. Like I don't want to. Maybe so course picks or whatever. I don't know. Like I'm just saying like that. Like I think that's the one activity where you just like you could. There's no amount of time for you to make up the skill gap between you and where they stand. And so that's why I think that's the biggest skill gap.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Now, if you were trying to think of other activities, sports, what would come close?
So golf was like the immediate one that was there for me. I think if you want to get like really specific with it, though, like I don't know, like those kids who do the Rubik's Rubik's cubes in like 3 seconds. Like obviously I can't do a Rubik's cube in 3 seconds, so I guess like that would be in there. But that's almost like that. It's almost like too weird and too niche that it's like you put too much effort into this. You know what I mean? Like it's not as universal as something like golf or chess.
Darts.
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 I think darts is a really good one as well. Yeah, I think darts is. But I feel like with darts, there's. I don't know much about darts. I think there's like maybe a little more variety. You could luck into something, or more likely your opponent could luck out of something.
Would poker fall into that category? No, because it's too luck based.
I wouldn't like. There's just too much variation. I think like you can't. Like, and there is like luck certainly is a factor. Like poker's not a game of luck. The way other casino games are. But there is still like if the king of diamonds hits on the river, like the king of diamonds hits on the river, you can't control that. That's what I'm saying. Like in chat, like Magnus will never not know to move his knight to e7. Like.
So where do you like rank yourself as like a chess player?
Like pretty average, I would say.
Like on a scale of 1 to 10.
You know what? Let me check something real quickly.
Checking his ranking on chess.
Yeah, because it tells you what like percentile you're in worldwide. You guys talk about this.
We got Pillman saying racquetball, a pro player would kill any normal player. But then, like, as Stefan said, you know, like Sertan, could a pro racquetball player tear their ACL and then I beat him? That could happen.
Flip it. What's the easiest sport to play a pro in? Maybe like pickleball?
Maybe like. Is Livingston listening? I can drive a car okay if he gets in an accident. Maybe I win.
Was that fun, guys?
No, yeah, they would kill him. Their reaction was unbelievable. But like, if there was an accident and I'm just in the back, I just speed skating. And there's an accident that wipes out the entire crew, and then I just glide behind, like 4 laps behind. I don't know. I'm relying on injury in every single sport for me to have an opportunity because I'm realistic. I know how bad I am.
I'm the 88th percentile, by the way, worldwide. So I guess that's
okay.
So like maybe like an 8.8 out of 10.
Okay.
Is that what that translates to?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm closer to like a 5 or a 6, probably.
You know what? We'll believe you for the 8.
Of course, this guy's got to be tough on a tennis court. Guy hitting a ball 140 miles per hour at you. Yeah, I wouldn't return that.
But dude, I don't like. My thing is like I don't know, like physically versus mentally, like you could like. This is a terrible cop out, but like if I'm playing a tennis match against Carlos Alcaraz and he's going baseline to baseline and he snaps his ankle, and we gotta finish that tennis match, I'm probably gonna win because he cannot move. Like in chess, like an elite level chess player like Gukesh or Sinba or Hekar, like whoever you want to pick, they're not like they're never going to mess it up to a point where you could take advantage of that.
Not like a crazy like migraine where they like can't even see the board anymore.
They don't need to see the board. None of these guys need to see the board.
They just know it so well.
They can play games. By the way, actually playing chess in your head not that hard. It's just a lot of pattern recognition. You should watch this video. Magnus, when he was like 19, he went to Harvard and he played 10 people. Played them all blindfolded. Crazy video. It's like, yeah. So I'm rambling here. It's like not even that fun of a discussion point. I think I've got my point across, so I'll drop it.
Yeah.
But you guys at least, you guys understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Where like there is a lack of variable change in how a chess player can mess it up versus the other sports. Or versus something else.
Well, okay, Delta Valley Jeff says it's a former boxer. I say combat sports anymore. I could hypothetically not going to train fighter.
And for the easiest one, I would say that.
Yeah, no, I couldn't. No chance.
No, but like there's like way more of a luck factor in that one than anything else. And I say that as someone who obviously boxed for like a number of years.
If you did box, and then I would say if you came at me, 100 times out of 100 you beat me.
I don't know. I would say you have a chance. You have a puncher's chance.
I don't.
Like you know what?
I don't have a hard punch.
You know what? You lose 100 times out of 100 to Magnus Carlsen in chess.
Well,
not in a fight.
I genuinely believe I would lose 100 out of 100 to any pro athlete. I'm not hitting the home run off school. I'm not covering Keenan Allen. I'm not that good.
Connor, but you and Magnus in a boxing ring, who would win?
Then I might have a shot. And then I'd punch him, I'd knock him down, and I'd say, checkmate.
There you go.
That'd be a zip
Yeah,
line,
that
eh?
would be sick.
Uno would be the closest. But there's no like pro Uno.
You, you're missing the point. You know what I'm saying? I hate when people try to do these like, well, actually, is like,
No, we got it. We're just
That's
asking
what
you
we
at
are
this point.
no, like you guys, I like the throwback you guys are giving. I think it's a good give and take.
I'm trying to think of things, but yeah, I don't know. Phil says Declan is clearly agitated about something. What motivated this topic?
Saw a tweet about it. I was like, wow, good take. Let's steal that and say it was my own.
It was a good one. 1-833-441-1440, James says, I don't know, I think pro versus Joe's and almost anything, people are getting destroyed. Yeah. This is, I guess, to what extent. What's the quickest you can win a chess match deck?
So 4 moves.
I probably had to lose in. If I made it to 10 moves, like I would count that as a win for me.
No, I thought you could last 10 moves.
I don't know.
Wait, actually, do you know how the pieces move?
No.
Oh.
I don't like chess.
Okay.
Too much thinking.
You are really good checkers player.
Or checkers, yeah.
You are really
Checkers
good
and tic-tac-toe. Like, those games, simple minds, that I can probably get into, but chess stuff. Well, good one. Guys, one a little more serious than the other, but
yeah.
I thought we got through the segment pretty good.
It was a slow news day. So there was really nothing for me to give my 2 cents on.
No, it was a good one. We don't have to talk about the situation much, but we should touch on it a little bit. It's something. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk some hockey with Dennis Bernstein from the fourth period. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and Twitch. Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
They're going all out to earn your business at Wolf GMC Buick. Right now, they're seriously overstocked on over 400 pieces of inventory on clearance and ready to move. See for yourself. Click on the clearance tab at wolfgmcbuick.com. And it gets even better. Employee pricing continues with huge cash discounts, 0% purchase financing, and low lease rates on select vehicles. Once again, see their website for details. So stop in today. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Right on the north side. The man of Oaktown. Listen for the Tommy Village Show. Weekday mornings from 7 to 11 on Edmonton's home for sports. Sports 1440. Make our conversation. 833-401-1440.
Do you know why people love working at GS Construction? It's honest work. It's work that needs to be done, and we're really good at what we do. That's why GS Construction has been in business for over 50 years. We won't be wearing a top hat. Tails, more like hard hat and boots, because we're heading underground to keep the water flowing in and out of your homes and business. Visit in Edmonton. GS Construction is currently looking for experience by players and top men. Visit gsconstruction.ca/careers today for all your welding supplies. Think AWS Welding, located in this view. Their rental stock storefront carries a wide variety of welding glasses, cylinder rentals plus welding rod, wire, and consumables. Same-day delivery is always available, and if they don't have it, AWS Welding will find it for you fast. Visit their online store today at awswelding.ca or give them a call or text at 780-979-0470. AWS Welding. They make it happen. Legacy Heating and Cooling is your #1 air conditioning company. So when you can't take living oppressive heat any longer. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. Your hot, sticky sheets keep you up all night. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. You decided that you deserve to be cool and comfortable. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. And with no payments, no interest for 1 year, it could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Feeling overwhelmed by debt? Concerned about what the next few weeks or months will bring for your finances? My name is Harding Milton. I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. You don't have to navigate this alone. Together, we can review your options and build a personalized plan to reduce your payments and get you out of debt, so you can breathe again. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit BDO.ca to book your free consultation and discover your debt-free future.
Just give it a cheese. Make this move.
Portion of this hour brought to you by Ewell. Helping you finish your electrical project is their goal. From pot lights to electrical panels, the gear you need is at ewell.ca or in person at one of their Edmonton area locations. Ewell.ca, your partner
The Jason Gregor Show with guest host Connor Halley. This is Sports 1440.
Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Welcome back to the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, brought to you by Go Alberta. Play Alberta. PlayAlberta.ca. Of course, Lotto Max tonight, $10 million. Tomorrow, Lotto 649, $18 million. So that's Tuesday, Wednesday. You can also go to PlayAlberta.ca/sports. Check out the Jason Gregor Show specials, boosted as usual. Dex got a little WNBA. I got a little late night baseball. Remember to use your game sense. Text line is 1-833-401-1440. As we are going to continue our look around the NHL. Not the busiest times, but we can find some things to talk about with our next guest as we go in the room, brought to you by Action Electrical. They're the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta with 4 divisions in project, service, tag, and solar for commercial or residential. Contact them at actionelectrical.net as we are joined by Dennis Bernstein. Covers the NHL for the 4th period. Dennis, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
You got me in August, Connor. Holy cow, man. Wow.
Yeah, we can probably just talk about your summer, I guess.
Yeah, no, just chilled a little bit. A lot of chilling, actually. Just didn't do a lot, Connor, but great to talk to you again on 1440. Right? Let's talk some hockey.
Yeah, well, okay. Firstly, I got to ask you, because I know you're a Rams fan. What's going on? Is Aaron Donald signed yet?
Oh, I'm saving my money for the Super Bowl, Connor. Don't worry about that, baby. And it's here. It's here. I was there in 2021. Got a banner up in my office. So he's taken his time. And he's earned that right. And it's not easy. As great as he was, and he was one of the GOATs of this league at 35 years old. It's tough, man. But if you put him next to Garrett, that's gonna be tough for the 49ers. Don't want to see that opening night in Australia. But I think he'll come back because he wouldn't have been practicing that much, Connor, if he would have went out there for a practice or two, so thanks, can't do it no more. But he's still going out there trying to run some drills. So I think he'll come back. Maybe not the start of the season because they don't really need him for the first maybe 2 or 3 games, but they'll need him for the playoffs. They'll need him for the Super Bowl. So I think, and he'll probably miss the juice if he doesn't play the first game, especially against the Niners. He'll miss that. He'll miss that when he sees his boys out there playing. So it's going to be intriguing. But if anybody's got the right to earn to take his time, it's Aaron Donald.
Yeah, and if there's a week 1 to miss, this might be it. Avoid that trip to Australia.
The travel, yeah. I did that travel to Melbourne when the Kings and Coyotes played back. It's a long trip. It took me 17 hours, and that was a stop in Auckland. So, yeah, you got a good point. And then the next week they play the Giants. So do you want to fly to Australia to play the Niners, or you just want to play at home and play the Giants? So we'll see.
Get ready for it. Question for you, just with your Rams fandom. So were you a fan of the original Rams and then moving to St. Louis, or when did you become a fan of the team?
I got fed up with the New York Giants losing and playing poorly every week. And so I became a season ticket holder when the Rams moved back to LA. But after that, no, I was a Giants fan for a long time. I'm an old dude. I remember when they were good and won in the 80s. So I was not, but I'm a lapsed Giants fan. But that stadium is amazing. The team is great. I love the coach. It's an exciting football team. So you can call me a front runner, but I'm from New York, and a lot of us from New York are front runners.
We're looking around the NHL now with Dennis Bernstein of the fourth period. I wanted to get you on because there's a few things we can talk about. One close, I know you and NZ Kovenar have a bit of a relationship here from his time with the Kings and your time obviously covering the team. He said no regrets, definitely end. And I got a chance to work with Jason Strudwick for a long time. And he said one of the thoughts when he went into retirement was like, play one more year when you don't really want to, and then you'll know for sure. Kopitar, hell of a career, Hall of Famer. Were you surprised? Did you think there'd be any like desire for him to maybe pull an Aaron Donald and come back?
No, because I know his wife. The wife said, we're going home to Slovenia, and that's where he is right now. Actually, he was at that final skate with Zdeno Chara. He was participated in that. So I wasn't surprised at all. 20 years with the same team. The statue is going to go up on February 24th. The jersey will go to the rafters. So not surprised at all. I thought that last year would be the year. I don't think he's going to get an itch. He said he wants to spend more time with his family and kids, and he's a sincere guy, Connor. And to be honest, what would one more year do? Like his legacy is cemented here. The team isn't a Stanley Cup contender. Maybe they would be with him, but I didn't see the point of him playing one more season. I think the fact that they lost 5 consecutive playoff rounds probably added to it. So I was not surprised at all. He's going to enjoy his retirement. We'll see him in February when he comes back to LA for that big night.
Now, just let's stick with the Kings for a minute here. And obviously a big hole in the lineup, not with them. Tremi Panarin back with the Kings this year. Quinton Byfield, Kempe.
Sure.
Some nice pieces here on this team. We know, and Corey Perry returning as well after signing and then being traded. How are people feeling about the Kings this offseason?
Who's the second line center? I'm coming out with an article here, Connor, probably the next day or so once Dave Pagnotta decides to start working again. Do they put Kempe? Are they going to experiment with Kempe in the middle? Like, would he be the second line center? And if so, then you have a legit top 6. But do you take your best player, a 40-goal scorer, and play him out of position? Now, when he did play center, he wasn't very good, but that was 7 years ago. He's a much better complete player, Adrian Kempe, right now. He knows how to play on the walls. The question is, when he gets the puck with speed along the wing and he gets that devastating shot off, like, is he going to do that at the center, or is he going to have to play deeper in the zone and then start deeper in the zone? So it's going to be interesting. Now, the key, Connor, is it's not a long preseason this year. Like, everybody says, the preseason is fun. If there was ever a time for the Kings needing a long preseason or a longer preseason, it would be this season. Laviolette's going to have to answer some questions. Now, here, if you keep Kempe on the wing, the question is Loughton and Haula good enough at 2-3 to win you around or go deep in the playoffs? I'm not sure. They're good players. I love Scott Loughton, what he did here. I like Eric Haller, but they're not dangerous offensive players. So that's the question. So the preseason for the Kings, aside from their blue line, which is the real question, and when fans aren't have question marks about this team, it's not about Adrian Kempe playing center or not. It's what's going to happen with the blue line. You want to play an up-tempo game that Peter Laviolette plays, right? You look at the lineup, you look at the depth chart, they don't really have that. So it's going to be interesting to see if they keep – they'll experiment with Kempe in the middle. Will it be an experiment, or will it be something that will sustain through the regular season?
You talked about the back end there, and one kind of piece from those Kings championship teams with Drew Doughty. How much more do you think he plays in his future Hall of Fame career as well?
I think one of the undersold points about the offseason, Connor, is Drew Doughty doesn't have a contract past this season. Right? And you would have thought that he would have signed like with Kopi. Kopi, I think, signed a 2-year, $7 million extension to get to 20 years. Ken Holland didn't offer him the contract. Drew says he's comfortable. Now, if the Kings regress and they're not in playoff position come the trade deadline, does Drew end his career in Los Angeles, or does he go somewhere else? So it's going to be interesting to see. I think Drew's got one more unit, but and maybe he's refreshed. It's a different type of offense. It's more up-tempo, but Drew's not that, speedy puck-carrying defenseman that they really need. They have one guy. It's Brandt Clark, right? So Drew he's good enough to play, but he's probably going to be a second-pair guy. And the one thing, Connor, Drew Doughty cannot lead the defenseman in time on ice this season. Just can't do it. It's got to be Brandt Clark. Brandt Clark's got to play upwards of 25 minutes a night. He's got to be in the area like a McCarr or Quinn Hughes. So I think that's it. So Drew, I think the question is, will Drew end his career in Los Angeles if things go south here this season?
Yeah, that would be something to see, but we've seen it before where players kind of they make that change and add a couple more years to their career. As we're looking around the NHL with Dennis Bernstein from the fourth period. And Dennis, I'm sure you saw the headlines. Leon Draisaitl speaking at the NHL European Player Media Tour. And I know I kind of clipped it, but the entire clip from Leon Draisaitl talking about Mike Babcock says, I think he's got a very clear plan and I think he holds guys accountable. And I think to him, it's not about who it is when it comes to accountability. Like we're looking to be coached. That was what everybody saw. We're looking to get better, and I sometimes deserve to be yelled at too, just like anyone else. I don't think Babs is going to care overly much who we are in terms of that. I think sometimes that's needed. Kind of a fair quote, I would say.
Yeah, well, look, Leo isn't Connor. Different type of cat. Like he can stand getting yelled at. Maybe, and no disrespect to Connor, like David. Obviously, he's been coached as well. So, look, here's the thing. I want to see how this team behaves on that first 5-game losing streak. And Babs tears into them in the room. Like, how does that narrative change anything? So I think that's what I'm looking at right now. Look, I understand why they made the move. They say they want a tougher coach. We'll see, Connor. We'll see. Like, you know what? They might like it. Now, the one opportunity they have is that I think the division, I think there's going to be a lot of regression from Vegas. I think it's an older team. They lost Orofiev. The goaltending isn't what it was, early in the playoffs. So we'll see. So, with respect to Leon, I think Leon just wants to win. Connor McDavid just wants to win. And they believe that this guy can put them over where the other coaches couldn't. So right now, it sounds great in August. But like I said, in November, you lose 5 in a row and he rips the team. We'll see how the response is at that point.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be something, win or lose, something to talk about here in Edmonton with
always, Connor, always. So it's a fascinating team, and the hire made it even more fascinating as we get to the regular season.
100%. And, disappointing, obviously, the last 2 seasons with the cup runs. This year, a first-round exit. You don't have that fatigue excuse to fall on if you have a slow start to the season. What did you make of the offseason for the Oilers? They move on from Darnell Nurse, bring in a few pieces, kind of redo the goalie room with the exception of Tristan Jarry. Do you think it's enough to, I don't know, the big talk here is try to win that division for the first time since 1986?
Does it matter? I don't think it matters. And I think Connor said that as well down the stretch. Oh, we just want to get in. You want to be in the top 8. This team will be in the top 8. The question is, will a 36-year-old goaltender bring them the Stanley Cup? It's about Freddie Anderson. How is he going to play? He should be better, but he's an older guy. He got hurt in the playoffs, and that's the one question. He might be great for 82 games, but they didn't sign him for 82 games. They signed him for game 83 and beyond. Can you depend on him in the playoffs to stay healthy? The performance will be there if he's healthy, and that's a big if with respect to his career and his track record. So, look, they should be there. They should win 2 rounds. I think if they don't get to a conference final, I think Edmonton Oilers fans got to be disappointed. There's a team in the Central I really like. I really like Utah. I think the moves they made with Trocheck and Lee. I really think that they made the trade for another goaltender. That's a team that could give them trouble. I think that they can absolutely win the division because I think, again, even with the improvement by San Jose, and I think San Jose gets in, it's arguably the worst division in hockey. So if you don't win the worst division in hockey, you got to be disappointed, and that will help and it'll give them a better path to winning in the playoffs as well because you're going to probably draw a wild card team as well.
Dennis, we've got a chance to do a lot of these looks around the NHL with beat reporters from different teams, different markets. And I will say one of the teams I think I'm most excited about is the Washington Capitals. Obviously, Kyrou and Tuck, but the size they have on this team with the Protas brothers and, Tom Wilson, they're a basketball team on skates, so they'll be even bigger. And it doesn't stop on the back end either. Vinny Desharnais, of course, as well, the former member of the Edmonton Oilers. So I want to ask you, out east, is there any team you're looking forward to tuning into?
That's the team. They're monsters. They're monsters on skates. And Kyrou's a 30-goal scorer as well. They really like their offseason. I really, really think. And, as much as people want to say, well, Brady Tkachuk's going to go to Florida, and now they had a down year. They're going to come back. The Tkachuk brothers want to. I don't know about their goaltending. Like Markstrom, maybe in the playoffs. Akira Schmidt's never proven he could be a number 1 in the playoffs. But, yeah, Washington has absolutely made great strides here. I think they can win the division even with the presence of the Stanley Cup champions in the division. Love their offseason. They are going to be a handful, you're right, coming into the season.
We have Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine joining us on the show every week, and we're doing our divisional goaltending rankings. And it's funny you bring up the Panthers goaltending. Today we did the Atlantic, he has them as the worst. we did the Metro, we had the Capitals as the second best. So various sides of this sort of thing. It's going to be awesome, and really looking forward to the upcoming year. Dennis, anything else on the topic you want to get to here?
No, I'm just looking forward to the season. I think it's going to be a very competitive season, and Oilers fans should be excited. It should be another great season, and they'll be more intrigued with Babs behind the bench. But yeah, it's going to be a very, very competitive, because I don't see a clear-cut team. Do I think that the Carolina Hurricanes will repeat? No, I don't. So I think it's up for grabs right now. You probably have a handful of 6 to 8 teams that could win it all. You could probably put the Oilers in that mix of 6 to 8 teams, and I think it's going to be a very competitive, exciting season. Can't wait for it to get started in September.
Yeah, 1 month away, the 29th, the season gets going of September. A month from now, we'll be talking about preseason. So, Dennis, thanks so much for doing this today. Appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again.
Well, it's great talking to you, Connor. Thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. There you go. Dennis Bernstein of the Fourth Period joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. And, yeah, there's no denying it. It's a bit of a slow time in the NHL, but a few storylines to get to. I saw that Leon Draisaitl headline today, and I thought it was kind of important for people to hear the whole quote. They want a different style of coach, and we know at times, but I don't think to the extent of a Mike Babcock. So it's going to be something to watch out for. If they win, things will be great. If they lose, well, we'll hear about it in our city, and I feel like other fan bases around the NHL won't be too quiet about it either. Let's take a break here. When we come back, we'll get to 5 questions with Declan Kruger. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and Twitch, brought to you by playalberta.ca.
Tee up for a great day on the course and support the Stony Plain Eagles Senior Men's Hockey Club. It's the Stony Plain Eagles Golf Tournament. Gather your foursome and join the Eagles August 25th at the Links at Spruce Grove for a 2 p.m. shotgun start. Enjoy a fantastic afternoon of golf, great company, and friendly competition, all while supporting the Stony Plain Eagles. Get all the details and register today at stonyplaineagles.com.
Noodle 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 noodle. Noodle 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 noodle. Noodle 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 noodle.
Throw the load down to Oodle Noodle tonight because dine-in is open.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310-GLASS or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Attention Alberta construction pros. For over 50 years, Japa Equipment Rentals has been your go-to for top-notch equipment and stellar service. Whether you need rentals or expert maintenance, we've got you covered. Stop by our Edmonton or Calgary locations today.
2006, we saw the launch of Twitter. JT was #1 with Sexy Back, and the corner of Jasper Ave and 118th was never the same.
On the Rocks, celebrate 20 years of OTR.
Friday, September 18th.
With Whale and the Wolf. Whale and the Wolf.
20 years of music and memories.
20 years of On the Rocks.
Friday, September 18th. Get in early. Jasper Ave and 118th.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Car shopping sucks. That's right. Going back and forth 100 times just to get a price. Give me your credit card for a test drive. What's all these extra fees? That sounds ridiculous. At Northgate, we do things a little differently. Good deals on new, pre-owned vehicles, good people, and a great selection. And don't forget about our employee pricing. Stop in and see us today, 13215 97th Street, or visit us online at northgategm.com.
You're in Northgate country.
1 in 3 Canadians aren't getting enough sleep.
Let the Brick help you sleep better for less. Save 40% on the Steely Crown Jewel Resort mattress. Get sheets starting at just $49. And buy one pillow, get the second for just $10. Plus, take up to 55 months to pay with no interest and no money down. And with next day delivery in Edmonton, you can start sleeping better right away. Some conditions apply. OAC. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Photographers, start your cameras. Vision Credit Union's annual photo contest is back. We're asking you to show us the people, places, and moments that made you glad you chose this rural life. Maybe it's the view from your farm, a walk down Main Street, neighbors pitching in, a weekend at the rodeo or sunset down the back road. Share your photo to show why life in rural Alberta is a choice worth celebrating. Enter and vote at whatsyourshare.ca.
What do you do with your metal?
Lawn ornaments.
Statues.
I made this hat for Kitty, but it's a little heavy. Sorry, Mr. Fluffles.
At Metal Supermarkets, they encourage you to submit your creations to the Metal My Way gallery today. You can win some great prizes. Go to metalmyway.com. A celebration of metal mastery. Proudly sponsored by Metal Supermarkets, the local convenience stores for Southside, West End, metalsupermarkets.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by CanTorque. Made in Canada, made for Canada, where extreme isn't theoretical. Find your solution at CanTorque.com.
The Jason Gregor Show with guest host Connor Halley. This is Sports 1440.
Brought to you by Alberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back to the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. Brought to you by Alberta.ca. Tomorrow, Lotto Max estimated $10 million. Wednesday, Lotto 649 gold ball. Jackpot 14 or 18 million. I sold it short. $18 million. Alberta.ca. You can the Gregor Show specials as well. Text line is 1-833-401-1440. Right now, let's get to 5. Question brought to you by The Brick. The sleep sale is on now. Save 40% on Steely Crown Jewel Resort mattresses. Get sheets starting at just $49. Also, buy one pillow, get a second for just $10. Only The Brick and TheBrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
Okay. Question number 1. Where do you come out? Quote regarding like that, where he said, and again, I quote, we're looking to be coached.
He's a guy who doesn't. I think he doesn't think back, right? Like, he's choosing his words wisely, but he's honest. And I think that's what's appreciated about him when he speaks to the media. It comes off, I think, as a little bit as a shot to the previous regimes. Like, okay, maybe they weren't as much, but I also think that those two previous coaches, there might have been a little bit of, okay, these are my star players, and I'm going to have to treat them a certain way. I think the vibe is that Mike Babcock isn't going to give them that. It's not going to be a filter because you guys are two of the best players in the world. Like, I'm going to coach you to win. That's how you get better. These are the things you guys need to hear as well. And if you don't do it, there could be consequences. So I think that's just the way I took it. I don't think it was supposed to be a huge shot at previous guys, but more so like this is the guy that we need at this point.
Yeah, like, I think when you read the headline that was on tsn.ca where it says we're looking to be coached, it sounds like a shot at Knob or whatever. When you read the whole quote, it really doesn't read like that at all. Because he goes on to say, like, we're looking to be better. Sometimes we have to yell at things like that.
He includes himself. I need to hear too, right?
Yeah, him and Connor always include himself. They'd be pretty crazy if they didn't, but credit to them. They do some NFL wide receivers.
These guys need to be better.
Question number 2. What is the ceiling and the floor for the Elks this season following their win against the Bombers?
What did Michael Jordan say? The ceiling is the roof?
Republicans buy sneakers too.
The ceiling is the roof. One of the best quotes from MJ. I would say that is the ceiling. They could win it all. I think they have that capability. The defense shows like 26 yards in the second half. I tweeted it. They had to be almost perfect, and they were almost perfect. They held them to 3 points in the second. It was a heck of a performance. I think the offense showed you like when they need to move the ball downfield, they can do so. So I think the ceiling is a championship. The floor, I'll say road playoff game. Third seed in the West.
Wow.
Granted, like this division, despite the Elks being on top, is very close still. It just takes a couple weeks before things could swap, but I don't think they'll fall out of that spot. How about you?
Yeah. I think the ceiling's an easy one, Grey Cup championship. Actually, the floor is the West final. Like,
wow.
No, but seriously, like, from what we've seen from this team to this point in the season, if they lose in the West Semi, that'd be a disappointment. So I think being in the West final, that's the floor of this team.
I like it.
Question number 3: would you have gone with Deshaun Shador or possibly Dylan Gabriel for the Browns quarterback job? And what do you make of the direction they went?
Well, the direction I think is interesting. As I said, we had Matt Romero on the show 2-3 weeks ago, and he's a big Browns fan, but I think called it as he sees it and said, like, we know what he is. We don't know what Shador is. We don't know what Dylan Gabriel is. So let's see what those guys are. Apparently, the coaching staff decided they're not what they want. They don't believe in those guys, and probably coaching to win games. And even if that is just slightly better, as I can tell you, I haven't seen it in a long time, but I've seen really good Deshaun Watson as a quarterback. Let's talk on the football field. I've seen incredible stuff, MVP caliber stuff. I haven't seen that from Shador. I haven't seen that from Dylan Gabriel. So is it in there? I don't know. I think the supporting cast they've built up, they've invested in their offensive line through the draft through free agents. See, they drafted skill positions, Concepcion and Austin. The running backs were last year, Carroll Fannin Jr. as well. So I guess I think this might be the right decision, just because if Shador right now is a 6 out of 10 and Gabriel's a 5, maybe we'll take it a little bit lower. If Deshaun Watson comes and he's a 6.5, then that's putting in the best position to win. That's what they got to do. Like, when they made that hire, it's not a monkey, right? That to me was like, that's not a lot. That could be one bad year and you're out, similar to Pete Carroll and the Houston Texans. Any Raiders coach. Yeah. Browns coaches might not always have the longest shelf life. They move on for Stefanski. After he's been one of the better coaches that we've seen in the last little while here. So I'm going to assume this is a move to win football games, so it's probably the right move. If it were me, because I don't know what the future holds. Watson is the free agent after this. I might want to see what I have in the quarterbacks.
Yeah, I understand it. I understand keeping Deshaun on the roster. That's obviously the easy one.
Yeah,
of course. I just think, like, Shador must have. We saw a lot of camp videos about how bad he looked. So I think you're right. Like, you're trying to win football games. I don't think this will be all season, though. I think they will check down to one of those two guys, probably Shador. And then just quickly, like, you talk about Stefanski. That sucks for him. Everyone knew it wasn't really his fault, but you had to move on, right? So
good for Atlanta. It up.
Yep.
I think that's a pretty good spot for him.
Question number 4: do you have a favorite post-game sports interview, one that you still rewatch or think about?
Probably nothing like post like in the room, but like Bart Scott. I mean, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Just running away afterwards. Probably be the one for me. I thought that was pretty funny. Was playing linebacker. The Jets. I think they asked what the next game is in the postseason. You just said, can't wait. Right away. That one always stands out. I mean, there's the class. It's like playoffs and all that sort of thing, but I'll go Bart Scott. 2 words. How about you?
Oh, dude, any Adrian Broner interview. His post-fight versus Jesse Vargas and post-fight versus Manny Pacquiao. Just like the funniest stuff in the world. Don't give that a watch if you have a chance.
I will Patty the Bad.
No, dude, you gotta watch Adrian Broner. Seriously, go watch his post-fight interview after the Jesse Vargas fight and after the Manny Pacquiao fight. Even after the Paulie Malignaggi fight, actually. Speaking of boxing, hey, question number 5. You talked about Tommy Burns today during Stats of the Day. I thought that was a cool team. dive. So I asked, who is your favorite Canadian boxer ever?
And this is just Canadian citizens. Or that's the boring Canada.
Interpret it how you would like.
Okay, because I want to go with Arturo Gatti.
Yeah, great choice.
Gatti Ward. Those fights were incredible. And the guy wasn't even something he was like a huge boxing fan. But I would just watch the highlights on SportsCenter, and it's just two guys going out there swinging. So Arturo Gatti for me would probably be in that conversation. He was outstanding to watch. RIP. And then I guess Lennox Lewis was another guy, like born in England, right? But citizenship. Lennox Lewis would be probably the other guy for me that would be right on there with him.
Yeah, great answers.
Well, is there? You tell me, because you know more about boxing than I do. I kind of feel like I won't.
Well,
obvious.
No, like the boxing nerd answer should be Sam Langford. Fought from lightweight up to heavyweight. I would say unanimously regarded as the best fighter ever to never hold a world title because he was black and he couldn't get a title shot. And even after Jack Johnson won, and Jack Johnson beat Tommy Burns, by the way, for that heavyweight title. After he won, he wouldn't give Sam Langford a rematch, even though he himself was black. So like that should be, the boxing nerd's answer. But the fights Arturo Gatti put on, like he was just such a blood and guts warrior. He never had a boring fight. You talks about the Mickey Ward trilogy, and even fights he like. I don't mean this to be rude to Arturo Gatti, but even fights he lost, like the Floyd Mayweather fight, the De La Hoya fight, it showed that like there were levels to boxing, and that in and of itself, you were like, I still go back and watch the Mayweather Gatti fight where Mayweather just beat the piss out of him. And I'm just like, what an unbelievable boxing display that was, and like it's different to someone being like an boxer versus like a true slugger. So, and just never in a boring fight. So I'd say Arturo Gatti as well.
Good pick. Text line 1-833-401-1440. Scotty the Bulldog Olsen. Jack, is that ringing any bells?
Sorry, say that one more time.
Scotty the Bulldog?
Yeah, he was. Let me pull up his box right here. Because I think he competed at the Olympics. I don't know if he won a medal. Yeah, he was quarterfinalist at the 1988 Olympics in Seoul. And he won, I'm reading this now, he won the gold medal at the 1986 Commonwealth Games. He was a flyweight.
There you go.
Yeah.
Willie DeWitt. Jimmy Thunder.
DeWitt, yeah. Willie DeWitt,
sorry. Julia Marjanovic, yeah, that's a good one as well. She's dominant.
Yeah.
We were at Gregor's 50th birthday, and Ashley almost walked into her, and I was like, Julia just said, oh, sorry about that, and kind of walked away. I was like, Ashley, well, that was. She's one of the best boxers in the world. Thankfully, didn't get to that.
Your girl almost got smoked, bro.
Yeah, well, Jelena said sorry.
You should leave it like your fault. Get Ashley to defend your own.
What are you going to do about it? Text just in here from Rainer. When was this so-called MVP play happening? 2020 season. Sean Watson had a really good year. He threw for 4,800 yards, completing 70% of his passes.
Dude, it was like the 2019 year I thought that he really got a lot of, because they were actually like winning. And good clip too.
That was the thing. They went 10-5 that year, right? So his second year, he was 26 touchdowns, 4,100 yards, and 9 interceptions. Next year, 26 touchdowns, 12 picks, not the best, 3,800 yards. And then he threw for 4,800, 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. The problem was they went 4-12. And Mahomes, Brady, Rodgers, I want to say, were all like lighting it up. But guy was a really good player. And
Lamar, I think, won that year, did he?
Did Lamar win 20?
Oh, no, not 2019. Sorry, maybe I have the years.
Rodgers. That was when he went back-to-back. Josh Allen was second with 4 votes. So clearly he wasn't MVP, but I thought, geez, I don't like him off the field. It was pretty creepy stuff. But, on the field, he was a good player.
No, I think there was definitely, like, whether it was 2018 or 2019, like, there was definitely a year where he was legitimately in the conversation for, like, a good majority of the season.
Yeah.
Say we will about him off the field, bad dude, but
we all probably agree.
7-8 years ago, he had some moments where he could play.
Like, there's a reason, and it was stupid. The Reynolds gave him all the money. The reason Devins were also going to move on from him. He won a natty as well. 2016. Mike Williams and Hunter Renfrow, I believe. Clemson. Decent little team they had built up there. Otis Grant, Danny Lidstrom. Honestly, that's I'm a GP, so gotta go Willie DeWitt. There's some good names rolling in here. practice, post interviews. The Irish press verbal practice getting a lot of love here as well. On the text line. 334-1-1440. Tom says if Watson balls out 2-0, 550 plus passing yards and 5 touchdowns, is he tradable? Well, let's think about this. Who would want him? You're probably needing who's a team that needs a quarterback that would want to take on Deshaun Watson? Not only his salary, but also the distraction. He's averaging, 46 million a year? So, Jack, if I'm looking through NFL teams here, the Cards don't want him. They want to lose out, I think. They want to lose as many games as possible. The Jets probably wouldn't want him. If a contending team went down with an injury, maybe, but then you're bringing him into a whole new team, a whole new system. Is he that how much better than your backup? We'll see. That's a big if, though. If they go 2-0, and if he throws all those touchdowns, if he throws a lot of yards, maybe, but I don't think so. I'd be curious now what his next contract would look like, and who, if anyone, is going to be willing to take a chance on him. We will maybe circle back on this conversation. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Mark Spector, Rogers Sportsnet. We'll also talk to Susie Morgan, covers the Denver Broncos, actually the team side reporter as well. So we'll discuss the Broncos, and then hoping to get CanTorque's 2-minute warning at about 5:40. But right now, we'll get to a sports update brought to you by Northgate, Chevrolet, GMC, Buick. The remainder of August proceeds from every vehicle sold will go towards the Silent Wildfire victims. Get a great vehicle and support a great cause. Only at Northgate GM.com.
Sports 1440.
Pre-game game of the MLB underway. Two-sided 0-0. The Rockies and Athens, the bottom of the first, and the Sox and Marlins Red Sox. That is in the top of the second. Viewing the game in the lead right now. Super Ray, the Tigers 2-0 at the bottom of the first. Coming up about 4 minutes time, we'll get the Rangers and the Red Sox. Then the late game for that game in the MLB will see the Reds and Giants at 7:40. WNBA action tipping off in about an hour's time. The Valkyrie and the Wings, the Edmonton Oilers. Sparks for late game tonight at 8. From around the Ford in the world, Deshaun Watson being named the starting quarterback for the Browns. For Sanders, Zach Mills dressed with not active at Bombers practice today. Golden Trailblazers are shading sharp. 6 months of the misses there, and the Broncos tempo center guard Keanu Williams. So 7-day extreme hardship contract. This has been sports. 1440 update.
1440 Weston's Mall. All in with CKJR. It's a Stingray radio station.
Free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Tap into the fun of Play Alberta's most popular casino games. From the fast-paced spins of cash eruption to the retro thrills of Sevens Wild. Online excitement is always at your fingertips. Spin through your choice of popular slots or discover Alberta exclusive games you won't find anywhere else. Visit playalberta.ca/Gregor to learn more. That's playalberta.ca/Gregor. Must be 18 plus to play. If you gamble, use your game sense. Not a car you're ready to part with. Find out what it's worth. Fast, easy, and totally free at Go Auto. We're talking top dollar trade-ins, whether it's a little more. We're still rocking that new car smell. Just a few clicks. And boom, you've got your value. Text value to 780-777-7777 to start. That's value. To 780 all sevens. Why guess what it's worth? Wait. Go Auto. Show you the money.
1 in 3 Canadians aren't getting enough sleep. Let the brick help you sleep better for less. Save 40% on the Sealy Crown Jewel Resort mattress. Get sheets starting at just $49. And buy one pillow, get the second one for just $10. Plus, take up to 55 months to pay with no interest and no money down. And with next day delivery methods, then you can start sleeping better right away. Some conditions apply. OAC. See in-store for details. The bread, saving you more.
Crispy caramel. Edges, a pillowy, airy center. Meet the new Papa John's pan pizza made with Parmesan and Romano cheeses. Papa John's special garlic sauce and Italian seasoning, all baked directly into the bottom of the crust for a signature golden finish and crispy, savory crunch. Grab a medium pan pizza for just $16.99 today at your local Papa John's. Order now in the app or at papajohns.ca. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. Yeah, it's me again. And here's sideline with a sports injury. You already know. Now things more
frustrating than being told to just rest. At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we get athletes moving sooner with our zero gravity treadmills. You can run, train, and rebuild strength with up to 80% less body weight, so your injury heals while your confidence comes roaring back. When your sports injury is yelling, whisper back. LeadingEdgePhysio.com, because life shouldn't hurt.
Help is coming to Black Hawk Golf Club this fall. The ATV Classic was presented by Building Trades of Alberta brings the stars of PGA Tour Americas to you. Enjoy the ATV Fan Zone presented by Michelob Ultra, where golf meets festival vibes. Upgrade to VIP covered terrace seating with premium food and beverage options.
Sports psychology and more. Proof one plan. Book now at 01.ca. That's ZERONE.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show with guest host Connor Halley. This is Sports 1440.
Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
It's 5:04. Welcome back to the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Tomorrow night's Lotto Max, an estimated $10 million. On Wednesday, you got the Lotto 649, $18 million gold ball jackpot. And of course, head over to the sports section, check out the Jason Gregor Show on the top tab. Check out our specials, boosted as usual. But remember to use your game sense. Connor Halley, Dustin Kruger, and Mackenzie McLennan with you here on Sports 1440, streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and Twitch. I think there were some issues, but we rebooted the stream, so hopefully that'll clear everything up for the final hour of this show today. We're going to talk some Broncos with Susie Warrigan, get to Cam Tate's 2-minute warning, but right now it is the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. They're hiring operators, pipe layers, and a superintendent. Work for a fantastic company that loves to promote from within with great benefits. Also, huge sports fans. Apply at gsconstruction.ca and search careers, as we are joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet. Spec, good afternoon. How you doing today?
Doing all right. How are you guys doing?
Doing really good, thank you. So let me know, how was the experience Friday night for you down at Commonwealth?
Oh, totally awesome. Totally awesome. The tailgating is just such a great scene down there. Like, I ran into, if you're an Edmonton person and if you've been around sports and if you know some people around town, just being here, like, you can't walk 20 steps without seeing someone there. Ran into the Brent Cordy and Terry Cordy, whose son is, come on, give me the first name of the center. Sorry? Mark Cordy. Mark Cordy's dad. I covered U of A sports at the U of A newspaper when Brent and his brother Terry, who is Mark's uncle, played for the Golden Bears. So I'm walking along and they're behind a griddle cooking up a bunch of food, had a nice laugh with them, ran into Tim Princeton. Just saw a whole bunch of people. It was so much fun. And then you go in the game and everyone's ready to watch a football game. You're primed up after tailgating. You've had a good meal and the game was awesome. So it couldn't have been a better night, Connor.
I'm with you. I went out there at halftime, just kind of the concourse. I ran into Britt from Global and Daintree was there. And
saw them. Yeah. Ran into them as well. And
everybody was there. It was
Shea Gannon was there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really good time down there. And hey, you can now vouch for it firsthand. The team, especially in the second half, they'll make you want to come back.
Yeah, the thing about a team, like, it's a long season and, there's always going to be different ways to win. You can't win if you're a team that wins the same way. We win on the long ball or we win in our running game or whatever. Eventually someone figures you out and now you need a plan B. But this Elks team, like, I got to give them credit. This was a completely different win. They've had a couple where you remember against Ottawa, they were kind of close after three quarters and then they blew it open in the fourth. And I think it was the same against Toronto the other day. They were up by 12 after three and then they blew them out in the fourth. And this one was different. Like, they got owned in the first half by Winnipeg, man. We all saw the first downs. It was like 16-2 or something. And then they turned that game around the second half. Like, they did their adjustments at halftime and they owned that whole second half and win on the last second field goal. So, they don't give the Elks credit, man. They're winning games, but they're not winning them all the same way.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, I saw people kind of, I don't want to say like lowballing their wins or anything like that, but kind of like discrediting the blowouts at the end. Well, they didn't do it till the end, but I think, yeah,
Who
I mean,
cares?
they wore them down. They physically imposed them, and that's a good sign of a good football team. And then in this game, a slow start, but I'm sure there was some challenges to the defensive unit. They allowed 24 yards in the second half. Like, it was a really impressive game and showing different ways that you can win. And, again, continuing with the run game, maybe a little bit more creative, getting Justin Rankin the ball in the second half and putting up the points, kind of what you need to see. And I don't know if you've got a chance to watch the post-game videos with Mark Killam speaking to them in the room. The social media team does a great job with those, but you just see it. Like, they are building a really, really good culture here.
They really are. Like, and like, it's easier. Like, there's a sequence here. You can't win if you don't believe. So you got to believe, no matter how good your team is. If you don't believe, you won't win. So you got to believe. But if you believe and you keep losing, that belief is hard to uphold. It's hard to keep believing in your team if you're 0-7, 0-8. The Ottawa Red Blacks, I guarantee you, belief in that dressing room is a challenge. But the opposite is true. When you believe and you win, when you believe and your coaches give her the right strategy, when you believe and the guys around you, you're putting your trust in, all deliver and you deliver too. Now belief is at an all-time high, right? Now, they're proving to themselves every week. We can do this. We are this good. They're going to be in first place after their bye week, guaranteed. And then you got 2 games against Calgary, who at this point is the last place team in the West. So that's, you see it in the dressing room in those video clips after a win. Like, this is a team that they're really then they should be. They're really enjoying what they're going through this year after what they've gone through the last few years.
Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley sitting in, and you talked about the Ottawa Red Blacks, and they bring in Jim Popp today. And there's kind of some parallels between what they are going through and the Edmonton Elks the last few years. They have their coach and GM Ryan Dinwiddie trying to do 2 jobs, similarly to what we saw with Chris Jones here. The president and having issues there, and before the Elks hired Chris Morris, there was some issues there, and they kind of fixed that with Chris Morris. But can Jim Popp coming in here, and granted, his resume is fantastic. 21 years with the Alouettes. They made the playoffs 19 occasions, won 3 championships. Do you think that he can stabilize this at the very least? Because nothing is going right with that organization, top to bottom.
Yeah, I mean, sure, he can stabilize it. Can he stabilize it this season? No chance, right? You don't turn a football team over, from September 1st on. Right. So Jim Popp, his resume is excellent. He's a noted and historic CFL builder of really good teams in Montreal. Absolutely. Why would he have lost it? But if the question is, can he make a huge impact this season? No chance. He's not making a big impact. He's still got to dig down before he starts filling the hole in Ottawa. So they're going to survive the year. They're not going to make the playoffs, and Jim Popp will go to work in the off season. And I have a ton of respect for the guy, but I think it's unfair to say, turn this season around right now and get us in the playoffs. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I would say no chance that's going to happen as we're looking around the sporting world with Mark Spector. And Spec, we kind of have a little bit of Oilers news today, and I saw kind of the headlines being clipped from the Leon Draisaitl quote as he spoke to the media at the European Player Media Tour. I just want to read the full quote, get your thoughts on it here about Mike Babcock. So Leon Draisaitl said, I think he's got a very clear plan. I think he holds guys accountable. And I think to him, it's not about who, it is when it comes to accountability, like we're looking to be coached. That was the part that was clipped. We're looking to get better, and sometimes I deserve to be yelled at too, just like anyone does. I don't think Babs is going to care overly who we are in terms of that. I think sometimes that's needed.
Well, I really feel like, I have a respect for all these guys in the Oilers, among the players, and everyone who's saying, we've tried it many times here. We've been at this for a decade. And we've come close and no cigar. And now they've almost gone over the top, and they've stepped back a little bit the last 2 years, even though one of them was a Stanley Cup final. And that they're saying to you, Connor, and everybody, they're saying, hey, we're accepting of a new set of eyes, of a new guy behind, with his hand on the rudder. We're accepting of someone who's going to chart us in a direction. We've tried all the directions we know. We've tried all the tricks we got, right? Let's bring someone in who we feel is going to be completely different than anything we've had here before, and can, maybe he's got the key to the lock that we can't seem to unlock here. I'm not telling you Mike Babcock's absolutely for sure the guy. I'm not saying that he doesn't have a crazy past and all that stuff. But what we can all agree on is they've never had a coach like this before. We can all agree that everyone who's ever played for him says that he's he runs a great bench. He's really prepared. Things like how did the Oilers, remember when Connor McDavid said against Florida, he said it seemed like we just kept trying the same thing over and over and it never worked. Mike Babcock's reputation is that he figures out what the problem is and he makes the right changes and adjustments. So the Oilers are telling you, and Leon Draisaitl's telling you, we are open to anything to win here. We'll put up with anyone. We'll put up with any criticism. You can say or do whatever you want to me. If we're going to win, I'll take it. And that's I got some respect for that, right? And I don't mind hearing that.
Yeah. I mean, no matter what happens, there's going to be a lot to discuss, and that's great for people in the business.
Oh, boy. It'll be a good year for sure.
Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Let's look at the Blue Jays. And for the first time in a long time, the Jays didn't win the series. They dropped 2 of the 3 against the New York Yankees over the weekend. They're a game and a half back. But on the flip side, and I don't know if this is going to be positive or negative, the rest of their series are against teams with below 500 records. And I kind of like what they were doing when they had to play Boston, New York, Tampa. You're playing these teams that you got to be on your game for. Now it's teams that statistically aren't quite as strong. What do you think's going to happen down the stretch here with these series, Spec?
Well, I mean, this is baseball's an everyday game. And yeah, it is awesome that they went through this stretch. I think they were, I don't know what their number turned out to be, 8-5 or something in series against Boston, New York, Tampa, New York. So 4 series, I believe they played like 13 games, and I think they won about 8 of them. So that's great. That's excellent ball. You play like that, you're going to win. But that's great. But they're in the rearview mirror. They're still not a wild card team. And now, they got a bunch of teams. They got about 6 left with Kansas City. They got a Cleveland series. They got a bunch of series with teams that aren't as good as the Yankees and Tampa and Boston. But that doesn't mean those guys are rolling over for you. Now we find out about Jays here. Okay, can you play the same level of ball against the rest of those teams that you just did against the Yankees, Red Sox, and Rays? And that's the task at hand. So it's really cool to look at the opponents for the rest of the year and say, hey, this looks great, but you got to execute. You got to go beat them. They're not going to beat themselves for you. You got to go out and beat them. And will they do it? You know what? We'll find out what this team's made of. If this team sneaks in as a wild card and gets it done, I don't think I'd want to play them in the first round. Would you?
No, because I mean, we talk about it in hockey all the time on various different sports. Like if they're fighting to get into a playoff spot, they're in playoff mode. I think they needed to get into that mindset to get into the postseason, and it starts tomorrow with Kansas City, like you said. Then you got 3 with Seattle. Then you head on the road for Cleveland, Kansas City, Sacramento, playing in the small park down there. Then Baltimore, Detroit, Texas, Baltimore, Cincinnati. It's gonna be a lot of fun here. I'm looking forward to the next few weeks here. NHL is gonna be here right away too with the preseason getting going soon.
Yeah.
Summer's just about done here. Spec.
Summer's just about. I had to talk to my boss today. Could you believe it? Half an hour I was on the phone with him, for Pete's sakes.
Really? That's when summer is coming to an end. When the hockey writers start reporting back.
Yeah.
I can't wait to text you guys to come on the show and no more of that whole I'm on vacation. Text me in a few weeks.
Yeah, right.
Easy for me at least.
Yeah,
Spec, thanks for doing this.
All right, man. Thanks for having me.
Talk to you tomorrow. There you go. Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet. He joins us every day here on the Jason Gregor Show around 5 o'clock. Text lines 1-833-401-1440. Kind of got him off there. I hope there wasn't a big thing he was going to say. Day One Dave says, if the Jays are going to go anywhere, Vladdy needs to come out of this year-long slump. 100%, Dave. They're winning games with him not doing a whole lot. If he could just find a way to do something, chip in a little bit more up, be great. Every once in a while, find a way to hit it out of the park. I have a friend who says they're going to make the playoffs and he's going to be bouncing back. That would be huge. They really would, but I'm not holding my breath right now. Just the way things have gone. We're going to take a break here. When we come back, we'll talk some Denver Broncos, a team that last season was on the cusp of going to the Super Bowl. And then we find out their quarterback broke his foot. Well, he's going to be back. Bo Nix will return to the lineup. He'll have a new weapon in Jalen Waddle and another year under the Sean Payton-led offense. We'll talk Broncos and more when we come back. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and Twitch, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
What if you could hire motivated, safety-trained youth with no risk and funding to support you? At Careers the Next Generation, we make hiring easy with funded internships across Alberta in trades, IT, forestry, and more. Interns are WCB covered, complete high school accredited safety trained, and arrive ready to contribute from day one. With 42% of RAP students completing their apprenticeship by age 22, you get skilled workers faster. Spots are filling up. Visit careersnextgen.ca today.
He's a legend in the booth and a master on the mic.
Low Tide brings the banter weekdays from noon to 2.
Sports 1440 is where Edmonton talks sports. Get in the game. Text 833-401-1440.
Here comes Action Electrical Service Team sprinting onto the scene. These are your first responders for any electrical emergency.
That's right. With their fleet of service vans and specialized gear, they assess, they service, and maintain electrical lighting and automation systems. They're all about rapid response.
Quick diagnostics and repairs to restore power and safety fast. Hire the Action Electrical team to bring home a win for your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
You don't just need property services, you need problems handled. HireGood provides cleanup, debris removal, site monitoring, and safety attendance across Edmonton. We reduce issues on your property, keep spaces safe, and take pressure off your team. We resolve real problems for businesses while creating real impact. Because our team is built on second chances, and they show up every day ready to prove it. Visit hiregood.ca or call and mention Jason Gregor for a first-time discount. HireGood. Stable jobs create stable lives.
Hey, Gary, is that your dad?
No, this is Evan, the new sales rep I hired.
Oh.
First impressions matter, but when hair loss takes over, it can feel like you're not being seen for the maverick you truly are. Hi, I'm Dr. Vance Elliott. At Advanced Hair and Skin Surgery, we know that hair loss is more than just a cosmetic issue. It's personal. Let's discuss all the cutting-edge options available so you can make a great impression every time.
Book a free consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
Hey, my name is Samantha. I work as an assembly technician for Ford of Canada. What I love about working at Ford is knowing I'm part of something I'm proud to stand behind. And when Ford does something like employee pricing, it makes me even prouder to work here. And that means you pay what I pay.
Ford employee pricing is on now. On select 2026 F-150 models, get over $13,600 in total price adjustments. For details, visit your Alberta Ford store or Ford.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows. Locally manufactured and installed, Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The Jason Gregor Show with guest host Connor Halley. This is Sports 1440.
Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Day Still to come, we're going to get to Cam Tate's 2-minute warning. But right now, we'll get to the NFL report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home of the no payment, no interest for 1 year on your furnace or AC. Bundle them together and save more at legacyheating.ca as we are joined by Susie Warden. She's the Denver Broncos sideline reporter. Susie, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Hey, Connor. Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. We appreciate you joining us on the show. Before we get to it, all the things going on in Bronco country, sideline reporter, have you ever had any close calls with players? We're going to work by because we see it with the camera crews a lot.
Yeah, you know what? That's a great question. Thankfully, I have done this long enough, and I also did it like earlier in my career with a college team for a couple years with Colorado State and Fort Collins, and so for one of those years I was pregnant, so I was always very conscious of who the ball was, and so I think it's kind of ingrained in my brain to always make sure that I know where the play is. When I was pregnant, my husband was like, you always are behind the ball, never be in front of the play, ever. So I do take those chances, and I will go in front of the play, but I am always very cautious of what's going on. So knock on wood, no close calls, which is good. I can get out of the way quick enough, hopefully. Yeah.
99 awareness right there. Yeah, it's going to be a fun season for you, I think, with the Denver Broncos. Because obviously last year, so close to the Super Bowl. The unfortunate injury to Bo Nix, obviously a huge role. I think with a healthy Knicks, Broncos probably handle the Patriots. And that was just such a weird thing to happen because we didn't really know what was going on. And it was, I mean, you would know better than I, but I feel like 20, 30 minutes after that game, it was like, hey, Bo Nix broke a bone. He's not going to play anymore. And the Broncos had to shift to Jarrett Stidham. But how's Bo Nix looking in his return to the field?
Oh, he's looking really good. He looked really good in the game this past Friday against Green Bay. It was the first time that he had the call from David Webb, who is now calling plays, our offensive coordinator, because David called some plays for 2 games, I want to say, last year, but Bo didn't play in those games. So it seemed like it went really, really well. And to go back to your story about that AFC championship or the divisional game when Bo broke his ankle, that was wild because there was no word, like, none of us knew. We were in the locker room, guys are celebrating. It's a great time. And on our broadcast, we always get the quarterback. And so we were waiting and waiting to get Bo, and we weren't getting him. And it's, kind of a contractual thing. And we just won the game. It was huge. And finally, I was told by Broncos PR, they said, hey, well, you guys aren't going to get Bo. And so I tell our play-by-play guys, like, we're not going to get Bo. And they're like, are you kidding me? Why? Why would that happen? And we were still clueless. Nobody knew. And then suddenly they closed the locker room. And I thought that was also kind of odd. I go upstairs from the locker room to our booth and bring my equipment in, and one of the field guys stops in the hallway. He's like, hey, did you hear about Bo? And I said, no. He's like, he broke his ankle. I'm thinking, I said something you can't say on radio. And that's pretty much what everybody say, are you, kidding me? And it was like literally a morgue. The place switched from absolute elation to total, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this without Bo? So we realized, and everybody put a lot of faith in Jarrett Stidham in that championship game against the Patriots, but we had a snowstorm that came in at halftime. It was just the weirdest thing. We had no running game, nothing. So I think they've addressed so much of that. But, a lot of it's going to be dependent on Bo being healthy. And so as long as Bo can stay healthy, we've got a very powerful offense with new weapons, especially with Jalen Waddle. So I think there's a lot of renewed promise for this year. And also with J.K. Dobbins coming back too, that's huge for us as well. And the defense is just the defense. I mean, it's exciting all around for sure.
Susie, I'm sure I brought it up in our conversation in the past. I am a fan of the LA Chargers, and I can remember Bo Nix a couple years ago. Like the Broncos should beat the Chargers by a couple, but just missing on those deep throws. And one way would be maybe a guy who can run under. And Jalen Waddle can certainly do that. The guy can fly. How has he been to watch so far at camp and in the preseason?
Very fun. He is getting everybody extremely excited every time something happens. Like, ooh. That's why they brought him here. He's so good. And he was actually on the podium today. I went out to Broncos practice, and he was one of the guys that they brought out. And he just talked about, how good Bo is, how much Cortland has helped him as he's come in here. But he's really excited to be here with Bo. And I think he understands the new dimension that he is bringing to this offense. So it's super exciting. He kind of passed from Bo on Friday night, and everybody was just like, yep, here's our future. Here we go. So it wasn't even a touchdown pass, just a pass, but it's all we needed to see. It was a 35-yarder, so we'll take that every day.
100%. And one of the things I look at, Susie, when I look at this Denver Broncos roster, like the players returning. You go to ourlads.com and they have the Broncos depth chart, and they color coded. It's very simple to use, very easy. In yellowish orange is new players. There's not many. Like you look at the first and second team here, like Taylor Rapp and Jalen Waddle. Outside of draft picks, they're like the only guys there. I mean, they're building something here, and that chemistry should pay dividends, I would think.
It's crazy, Connor. I've actually asked many guys in camp, and you know, guys like Mike McGlinchey and guys that have been around for a long time, have they ever been a part of a team, especially in today's day and age of free agency, where you have this rate of return? I mean, it's like almost 95% or something silly like that, which just does not happen. You just don't, you know, keep that kind of players around with free agency, but they were able to sign so many guys back, which just goes to show what they think of a lot of the players. The only really one that got let go was John Franco Myers, and I mean, we're going to be able to fill in for him, you know, fairly well, because there's a lot of depth at that position. I think Malcolm Roach will be somebody that goes in there. So it's very unique and it's exciting, because when I looked at all of our free agents after the season, I'm like, oh man, we're going to, you know, you just think you're going to get decimated. And they went to work and they got all of them signed back except for JFM. So it's really cool. It's fun to take, because I think a lot of us old schoolers will miss the old days of when guys were on teams for, you know, 9, 12 years, and they just played their entire career with one team, and we just don't see that as much anymore. So this is really cool to see all these guys. They are very, very close to each other. Last week in practice, this week ago today, in fact, on Monday, there was a little bit of a scrimmage in practice. Sean called it. Sean Payton called it. Probably had to call it tussle. It was just, I talked to Michael Glinchey about it in my pregame interview. He said, you know, we're like family. We're like brothers. He said, you know, you go home sometimes and you sit with your family. You love them, but you still fight with them. He's like, I've been going to the same defensive line for 4 years in a row, and sometimes I'm tired of them, and they push my buttons, and that's what happens. So, but they are very, very close. They're a really, really good group, and so it was really nice to have it all kind of come back around, and then have the cool addition of a Jalen Waddle, and then like John Coleman, our rookie running back, you know, some of the rookies they drafted too. It's going to be, it's exciting. I mean, right now it's exciting, and I think so is the future.
Susie Morgan joining us here on Jason Gregor Show sideline report for the Denver Broncos, and you talk about John Coleman. You mentioned J.K. Dobbins earlier on. R.J. Harvey's still around here. We talk a lot of fantasy sports, probably not surprising to you. This backfield is loaded, and I don't know who I think people should be looking at it. It's almost one of those situations where, like, maybe just stay away, because they kind of have a three-headed monster here. And I know a lot of people like Coleman long term, but right now, are you expecting for the time being Dobbins to be, you know, the designated starter?
Yes, in fact, it's funny you say that, because I was just talking to Ryan Edwards, who does all of our studio hosting. He does a new show here in Denver. We were at practice today, and he's like, you know, he said, I'm watching JK, and JK's getting, like, you know, first down reps, maybe like second, but then Jonah will go in. You know, it's almost like you're going to have this JK Jonah thing going on, even more so than RJ, and RJ may come in for a third down setup. So they all might get used pretty regularly. So I think your advice is to, while they're all very good, probably stay away, because you may not hit the point, especially if JK's just in there, you know, doing first down, listening to score a bunch of touchdowns on first down or second down, which would be nice. I mean, that'd be great, but it might be one to kind of stay away from. Talented, but not in the fantasy realm.
Yeah, good football, bad fantasy football. It's a good thing to have.
Yeah, exactly. You got to know the difference. People, and that's, I mean, as you know, people will pick with their heart sometimes. You're like, ooh, that's, I know you like the Broncos, but you probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, go for Waddle, go for Bo next, maybe. Maybe the team defense. Well, that's where we should go next. Yeah.
If you can get the Broncos defense, heck yeah, take the Broncos defense every day. And Will Lutz is your kicker.
Yeah, like not my line, right? You get it from distance for sure. I wanted to ask you about last year's first round pick, Jay Barrett, who's a guy who's very highly touted. Here he is listed on the depth chart at second behind Riley Moss. So we know at the secondary, guys are interchangeable. You can move players in and out in different positions. What have you seen from him going into year two?
Well, we saw a lot of him on Friday night, because Riley went out in that first defensive snap, and we asked Sean about it today. He went out with a rib injury, never came back. He never even came back out of the locker room either. Sean today said that, you know, he's fine. He didn't give us any kind of indication otherwise, but Sean went and started playing right away then for Riley. So he got quite a bit of playing time the other night and did well. And he did well in the first game too when we were in Atlanta also. So because he had a pick. I don't know if he had a pick. I mean, I interviewed him after the game. Sometimes they start to run together between training camp and then the game. But he's done well. I mean, people are really expecting a lot from him, but he does have some really good talent that's ahead of him, and so they may use him in different situations. They talked about him, with nickel and dime, and how he can kind of interchange. And I think he's talented enough. He's smart. He's a really smart kid. I really enjoy chatting with him. So he can go anywhere and be able to pick up anything. It's not going to be a problem. So I hope that we can see some better things from Jade this year. Jaquan Millen, everybody was talking about Jade coming in to replace Jaquan last year, and then Jaquan had fear of his life, including that contested, interception that very much was an interception at the goal line that he got last year. So it's Jaquan's back, which that was one of the guys I didn't know if they'd be able to bring him back, and they did. So it's a stacked and packed secondary, and but I do think that Jade, I hope he does well this year.
One more single player out. Alex Singleton, a former member of the Calgary Stampeders up in the CFL, win a Grey Cup.
That's right. He loves his Canadian roots.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, he's loved up here for sure, and he's just been a guy who's grinding out his career. Had the unfortunate injury back in 2024 after a few years in Denver coming over from the Eagles. I think he made the tackle after he tore his ACL. But how's he looking?
Well, he kept playing. Yeah, he kept playing. Well, and also last year he had testicular cancer, so he was for literally like 2 weeks or something. So he played a game knowing he had a Thursday night game, and the next day he had surgery. So that was insanity. And he actually was our other guy that was on the podium today. We had Alex and also Jalen, and Alex was talking about, somebody asked him, how he's doing life now at 32 in the NFL differently than 10 years ago, and he did say, cancer will make you eat different. And he said, I've looked so much at my diet, and he said, I'm eating so much better now. He's like, I feel better now than I did, several years ago. So he feels like he's in really good shape. The guy's just a tackling machine. That's all he does. He's just out there all the time tackling. So it'll be a combo with him and Justin Sternad, which would be really exciting to see. And I'm a huge Alex Singleton fan too, and everybody roots for him because of what he does. His sister has Down syndrome. He does so much for special Olympics. He's just a great guy off the field, and so he just even more when he's on the field, which is really cool to see. But I expect more of the usual from Alex Singleton this year for sure.
Yeah, he's a special guy. I will say he's a rival from Edmonton. From his time in Calgary, he's a rival of my Chargers, but I still like him. So I think that says a lot about how good of a guy he is. So there's just a couple more before we let you go. We're talking some Denver Broncos with Broncos sideline reporter Susie Warden. This team's going to be kicking off their regular season against the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football. I've already got the music in my head. I cannot wait for this matchup. How are you looking at the division when it comes to, I think we know the Raiders are, they're a last place team. They picked first overall for a reason. The Chargers went to the playoffs last year. The Chiefs, we think, are going to bounce back. What are your thoughts on those two teams?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I'm curious to see, Patrick Mahomes they're taking, great caution with him, as they should, because he's coming off of the ACL. But I'll be curious to see how he looks on that Monday night. I mean, it's anybody's game, especially if you go to Arrowhead. I'm like, oh man, Arrowhead on the road Monday night. Let's open up the season with a freaking banger, right? So it's going to be a lot of fun. And so I think that'll be a really, really good test to see where we are, where they are, and then the Chargers. Man, we have these crazy games against the Chargers, and even sometimes the Raiders. The Raiders have Clint Kubiak now, and Clint Kubiak, of course, is son of Gary Kubiak, who was our coach that won our last Super Bowl. So there's a lot of intermixing in there. In fact, a lot of the coaches on that staff are former Broncos or have ties to Colorado, like Rick Dennison, who played linebacker here. He's on Clint's staff there. So it's kind of interesting to see some of the ties from the Broncos now with the Raiders, especially because they're always been just such a rival too. But I think of the other three teams, definitely KC and the Chargers, maybe the Chargers more or so, depending on how Patrick is. That's their whole team is very dependent on his play this year, and that's to be determined. You just never know how somebody comes back from an injury like that.
Is there a city on the schedule you're looking forward to going to the most?
Well, there's a couple of stadiums I have not been to. One of them we went to pre-season, so Atlanta. I hadn't been to their Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And I haven't been to Pittsburgh yet. So even though it's Pittsburgh on Black Friday and we're traveling on Thanksgiving, I'm looking forward to going to Pittsburgh. So it is November, so probably won't be like the most beautiful days, but have not done that stadium yet. So, from a selfish standpoint, that's one that I'm looking forward to. Matchup games. We've got the Seahawks on a Thursday night football. We've got the Rams that are coming here for our alumni night or alumni weekend, and that's a Sunday night game. So we've got like these marquee games against some really good teams. And they're just, and those two are home. That Seattle game and the Rams game, those are both home. But we got 6 just tough games to begin the season. So we're going to know a lot about our team early on and in some very cool primetime games. So I'm excited for those. They're just like a little more amp, a little more juice, and you can feel it on the sidelines when the crowd's excited and, the stadiums break out all the bells and whistles. There's more fireworks, and there's more smoke, and there's more everything. And it's cool. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, Pittsburgh Renegade after the third quarter will be awesome, and the travel's not ideal. I guess the Christmas game is tough, but at least you're at home, right?
Home, yeah, that helps. Yeah, because we traveled many times on other holidays. So I'm like, at least we're home. We can, that's doable. And I like that. I don't mind Christmas Day games. Those are really fun, especially at home, because you just see all the people that you hang out with every weekend, and it's just like you're having Christmas with all your your work friends.
Well,
76,000 of them.
Yeah, exactly. Where else would you rather be? I mean, against Josh Allen in town, a rematch of that game. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Susie, thanks so much for doing this today. Appreciate it. And we'll get you on again, maybe before one of these primetime games.
Anytime. You guys, Connor, let me know.
Thanks, Susie. That is the sideline reporter for the Denver Broncos, Susie Warden, and appreciate her joining us on the show. She's been joining us for a long time here. Always good to have her on. And yeah, that Broncos schedule Monday, September 14th, 6:15 at Arrowhead. Then they will host the Jags. The Rams in Denver, alumni weekend, and Aaron Donald might be back. Then they go to San Fran, then they go to LA for the Chargers, and they host Seattle. They get a bit of a nice break before Halloween, get the Cards, with all due respect. Then they host Kansas City, they get Carolina. Bye week, Raiders. Not bad. Not a bad one there. But some tough opponents for, all the teams right now in the AFC. It's like there's just so many good teams, so much good competition. And I cannot wait. A couple weeks away before it all gets going. But they will wrap up their preseason this Friday, taking on the Minnesota Vikings from Denver. We'll take our last break here. When we come back, get to Cam Tate's 2-minute warning, assuming he was able to charge his laptop. It is the Jason Gregor Show, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Tap into the fun of Play Alberta's most popular casino games. From the fast-paced spins of Cash Eruption to the retro thrills of Sevens Wild, online excitement is always at your fingertips. Spin through your choice of popular slots or discover Alberta-exclusive games you won't find anywhere else. Visit playalberta.ca/Gregor to learn more. That's playalberta.ca/Gregor. Must be 18 plus to play. If you gamble, use your game sense.
Why tee off at the Ranch Golf and Country Club?
A fun, unique layout offering premier conditions. The Ranch has been ranked as one of the top public courses in Canada.
Unmatched value. Score Golf Magazine rated the Ranch as the best value in Edmonton.
The service, from tournaments to special events to the pro shop. Superior service that makes every visit exceptional.
The Ranch Golf and Country Club, a laid-back environment where anyone can enjoy an amazing day on the fairways. For details, visit theranchgolf.com.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquasential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade: safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
Crispy, caramelized edges, a pillowy, airy center. Meet the new Papa John's Pan Pizza. Made with Parmesan and Romano cheeses, Papa John's special garlic sauce, and Italian seasoning, all baked directly into the bottom of the crust for a signature golden finish and crispy, savory crunch. Grab a medium pan pizza for just $16.99 today at your local Papa John's. Order now in the app or at papajohns.ca. Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
1 in 3 Canadians aren't getting enough sleep. Let the Brick help you sleep better for less. Save 40% on the Steely Crown Jewel Resort mattress. Get sheets starting at just $49. And buy one pillow, get the second for just $10. Plus, take up to 55 months to pay with no interest and no money down. And with next day delivery in Edmonton, you can start sleeping better right away. Some conditions apply. OAC. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Plan for success in 2027 with help from the Co-op Grow Team. With the latest on-farm technology, our agronomists will work with you to gather and interpret soil samples, analyze data, and gain more insight into your fields. We offer local expertise and trusted advice to help you plan your inputs and prepare for the unexpected. Get ready to make data-driven decisions with Co-op Ag Zone Field. Make a successful 2027 crop plan to meet your field's potential. Talk to your Co-op Grow Team today.
Edmonton, thinking about your next SUV? Think Subaru. The Subaru Forester has earned an IIHS top safety pick or higher for 20 years in a row. Add legendary Subaru symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive and the 2026 JD Power Canada Best Residual Value Award among compact SUVs, and you've got an SUV that's built to protect today and hold its value tomorrow. This month, take advantage of loyalty rates as low as 0.99%. Come test drive the Forester at your local Subaru dealership today. Welcome to Uncommon.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. OTR is celebrating 20 years on Jasper Ave. Join them Friday, September 18th to celebrate 2 decades of fun with the Whale and the Wolf on stage. Book your table at ontherocksyeg.com.
The Jason Gregor Show with guest host Connor Halley. This is Sports 1440.
Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
This is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Tomorrow's Lotto Max 10 mil. Wednesday's Lotto 649 Gold Ball Jackpot 18 million. In the meantime, you also can do the Sports 14 or Jason Gregor Show specials at PlayAlberta.ca/sports. Boosted as usual. Some WNBA, some late night Major League Baseball games. So you got like 2 hours actually before now has to get in. If you're looking to sprinkle some money down tonight, remember to use your game sense. Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, Mackenzie McLennan with you here in the Sports 1440 studios. Text line 1-833-401-1440. We are going to try to get to Cam Tate's 2-minute warning. But just before he took off today, his laptop actually died. So he was trying to get home to plug it in so he could send over the updated version. But we haven't got it yet. So we'll just wait and see. And if it gets in here in the next 5 minutes or so, we'll make sure we get it to you. If not, we'll just roll on with the text and our input on things at 1-833-401-1440. Earlier today, Declan had asked questions about a few different things. Favorite post-game comments. Iverson popped up a bunch of times. We saw that famously repeated by Ted Lasso in the show Ted Lasso. Deck, was that after a game or was that after a practice? Do you remember when he did that?
I think it was. It might have been. It must have been after a practice, right?
I thought it was, but maybe not.
Let me see if I can look it up here.
I mean, there's been so many good ones in the past. I always think of Dennis Green. He was the Jets coach. Can't even think of his name. I'm sure people will let me know.
Ooh, it looks like it was after their first round exit against the Celtics in the playoffs that year.
Herm Edwards, sorry. Okay. Oh, well, see, I don't remember it being from that. But I'm not questioning your research. Richard Sherman with Aaron Andrews. I don't think I'd liked that. That was kind of cringy almost. I didn't like watching it. But it's one that stands out for sure. I'm a man. I'm 40. That'd be another one. Can't believe he was relieved of his duties. Just when I'm 40. Rick Pitino. Larry Bird is not walking through that door. I don't know if you remember, he goes viral every once in a while. That college basketball coach who just says like the weirdest things. But he always says it very like kind and lovingly. He's not rude about it, but he always has good references. If I remembered who it was, I would definitely go with him.
Does he have one that like stands out?
Like he'll just like reference like, well, it's like I tell my wife, and then he'll just like say something weird that has like, I don't know, like a weird saying. I'll try to dig into it.
Pasta with spinach.
Like, okay, well,
He's a college basketball coach?
I'm pretty sure it's college basketball, but like a smaller school. You might have to dig into it.
Do you remember Coastal Carolina's football coach talking about be a dog, and then he started barking and howling like a dog? Jeff something was his name.
Jeff. I think I'm thinking maybe it's college football. Montana, Bob Green.
Oh yeah, Bob Green, man.
And he just like says the weirdest things.
And he's like everyone's like uncle / grandpa.
Yeah. Okay, so he said, I was coaching when the Dead Sea was only sick. Going hard is like a hobo on a ham sandwich. We were like a woodpecker in a petrified forest. Like, what did these mean? I don't know, but I think they were always good ones. Steve has, who do you think you are? I am. I mean, that was certainly one of the best all-time lines. GSP, I am not impressed by your performance after a Hughes fight. Do you remember that one, Deck?
Oh, yeah.
That's all he said?
Came into the cage, and Matt Hughes kind of like shrugged it off and was like, well, okay. Then they fought.
GSP is one of the best. I remember watching a fight where he had a guy like in an arm bar and just wouldn't break his arm. And the other guy just kind of took it. It's like there was kind of some gentlemanly aspects to it. Like, I'm not going to break your arm. And then the guy just wouldn't tap out. Probably should have. One 833-414-1440. Still just trying to see if Cam Tate has sent over his 2-minute warning. Doesn't appear so. That's okay. If you missed anything on the show today, let me just use this as a time to remind you. You can always check out Google, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. Head over to Sports 1440 AM on YouTube. Sign up there. We had Kevin Woodley on the show. Went through his rankings in the Atlantic Division. He had the Florida Panthers as the worst-ranked goaltending trio heading into the season, followed by the Toronto Maple Leafs, which I think would probably make a lot of people out in Edmonton happy. You can see the rest of his list. Also on the show today, we had Rick Walters joining us, taking a look around the CFL and the NFL. Dennis Bernstein, Mark Spector, Susie Wargen, Broncos sideline reporter. So go check that out, jasongregor.com as well, if you want to take a look at some of those things. Steve says Mike Tyson had some all-time crazy quotes. I mean, when he broke his back.
Spinal.
That was probably one of my favorite ones. I don't really know. I can't think of anything else, to be totally honest with you.
Dude, he had some real crazy ones.
Wasn't he going to eat someone's children?
Yeah. Well, that was when he was in the ring talking about Lennox Lewis. He was like, "Who's Alexander? I'm no Alexander. I'm a cock. I want to eat your children." That was a crazy one. He also had a really, really crazy tirade. It was a press conference brawl between him and Lennox Lewis, like introducing their fight, where he went off and said like none of which I can repeat about a reporter in the front row. Go look that one up because it's an all-time crazy Mike Tyson moment.
Yeah, thanks for not reporting it on air. He was going to rip someone's heart out too, wasn't he?
Yeah, that was all in the same same one. My defense is impregnable. I want to rip his heart out. I want to eat his children. That was all talking about Lennox Lewis. By the
No?
way, you ever want to see a guy get knocked out cold? Go watch what Lennox Lewis did to Mike Tyson.
I trained probably two or 3 weeks for this fight. I had to bring my best friend, and I dedicate this fight. I wasn't going to fight. I dedicate this fight to him. I was going to rip his heart out. I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been, and no one can stop me. Lennox, a conqueror? No, I'm Alexander. Oh, no, my computer scrolled down. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody as ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like. I'm from their cloth. No one can match me. My style, impetuous. My defense, impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat his children. Praise be to Allah. That's incredible. Not the best on the mic. I think I don't love what we've seen recently, but Conor McGregor on the mic back in the day was incredible. I'm only here so I don't get fined. Yeah. Marshawn Lynch was okay. I mean, really, it was kind of annoying. Like, just answer the questions. But Seahawks fans kind of rallied. Dennis Allen, crown him if you want to. How about Brock Lesnar's post-UFC fight interviews from JC? I don't know about those ones, Deck. Are those good too?
He had a couple good ones. He had one where it was either Bud or Coors was a sponsor.
Oh yeah.
And if it was Bud, he said, "I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna drink a Coors Light because Bud Light won't pay me anything, and then I'm gonna get on top of my wife."
Peyton had a really good one about beer after the Super Bowl as well. I think they also paid him. That music means we're done for Deck. Mackenzie, thank you guys for joining us on the show today. Check the podcast. Up next, it's Fox Sports Radio all night. Tom Gazzola back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. But first, one final update with Declan, brought to you by Sean Cunningham of Remax Real Estate. Get the home team advantage for your next move in the Edmonton area. If you're thinking about buying or selling a home, call or text Sean directly at 780-265-0165. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Scores from around the majors. Red Sox and Marlins tied 1-1 in the middle of the fifth. Rays lead the Tigers 3-1 in the top of the fifth. Rockies lead the Nats 1-0 in the middle of the fourth. And the Rangers lead the White Sox 2-0 in the top of the first. Up next on the dock, Guardians and Angels at 7:38. Cubs and Diamondbacks, Twins and A's, Phillies and Mariners, as well as the Pirates and Padres, all at 7:40, and the Reds and Giants at 7:45. WNBA action, 2 games, one get going in about 5 minutes. Valkyries and the Lynx. The Atlanta Dream and LA Sparks will get going at 8. Toronto Tempo have signed guard Keanu Williams to a 7-day extreme hardship contract. Portland Trailblazers Shaden Sharp will miss 6 months with a meniscus tear. And Deshaun Watson has been named QB1 out in Cleveland. I'm Declan Kruger. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
1440,
A Stingray radio station.
broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the